It has been 33 years since an Andretti has started on the pole at the Indianapolis 500. That day in 1987 saw Mario Andretti lead 170 laps, only to have an engine harmonics issue rob the Andretti family of a certain second win. 19 years later, it was Mario's grandson Marco who looked like he was going to break the Andretti curse. But luck once again struck badly for the Andrettis, as on the final corner in the final few hundred feet of the race, it was Sam Hornish Jr. who powered past Marco Andretti to steal the win away once again. Now at 33 years old and one of the elder statesmen in IndyCar racing, Marco Andretti starts from pole for the very first time in the Indianapolis 500 and has his best chance to win in his Honda-powered Andretti Autosport entry. But starting alongside him, and perhaps the greatest threat to victory for the Andretti family, is 2008 winner and current IndyCar points leader Scott Dixon from New Zealand, and he may have the fastest car in the field. And starting on the outside of row 1, completing a Honda sweep of the front row, is 2017 winner Takuma Sato, picking up where he left off last year in third position on the grid. Row number 2 sees the first Dutchman in the race in 11 years with Rinus VeeKay, who is not only the fastest Chevrolet in the field, but also the race's fastest rookie. Starting in the center is 2014 Indianapolis 500 champion Ryan Hunter-Reay, who is always a threat for victory here. And starting on the outside, returning to Andretti Autosport for this year, is the popular Canadian driver James Hinchcliffe. Starting inside row 3 is another incredibly impressive rookie, Spaniard Alex Palou, out of the Super Formula ranks, driving for Dale Coyne Racing. In the center is Graham Rahal, making his first Fast 9 appearance in over 11 years. He's got a great shot to win. And on the outside is Alexander Rossi, last year's runner-up and 2016 winner at the Indianapolis 500. You know he's going to be hungry for his second victory. Row 4 sees the return of Colton Herta, who only completed 3 laps in his rookie 500 last year, but don't let that stat confuse you. At only 20 years old, he already has 2 IndyCar victories under his belt. He's a threat to win the race. In the center is a true dark horse for victory, starting in his second Indianapolis 500, but first for the potent Chip Ganassi Racing team is Sweden's Marcus Erickson. And on the outside is Spencer Pigot, who started on the front row last year and cannot be counted out for victory. He's got a great shot driving the third car for Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. Rolling off in lucky 13th spot inside row 5 is IndyCar champion and the fastest Penske driver, Joseph Newgarden. However, he's the only Penske driver who does not have an Indianapolis 500 win to his credit. In the center, and looking to impress in his second year with the Chip Ganassi Racing team, is Sweden's Felix Rosenquist. And on the outside is the Mexican driver who was bumped from the field last year but returns as McLaren's top driver, Pato O'Ward. Row 6 on the inside sees Indianapolis native Ed Carpenter, who this year is backed by the United States Space Force. In the center is Zach Veach, the Ohio native who has favorable odds in a potent Andretti Autosport entry. And on the outside is Conor Daly, whose Air Force car has enlisted the experience of champion NASCAR crew chief Cole Pearn for this year's race. Row 7 on the inside sees last year's Rookie of the Year, Santino Ferrucci, starting deep in the field this year. In the center is the fastest Englishman in the race, Jack Harvey, driving for the Ohio-based team Meyer Shank Racing. And on the outside is last year's Indy Lights champion Oliver Askew, a rookie in this year's field, but hasn't looked like a rookie in the previous oval races this season. Row 8 inside sees the return of the wild Australian driver Will Power, who will be charging up through the field from a 22nd starting position. In the center is the 2013 winner of the Indianapolis 500 and a fan favorite driver Tony Kanaan. In his last time in ABC Supply colors, but not his last Indianapolis 500, he wants to return next year with fans. And on the outside is a babe amongst men. In his first IndyCar oval start is Dalton Kellett racing for the great A.J. Foyt. There will be a lot of eyeballs closely watching the progress of row number 9. On the inside is the defending winner of the Indianapolis 500, Simon Pagenaud. The Frenchman is starting deep in the field on his title defense, and only one other winner has come from the 25th starting position, and that was way back in 1974 when Johnny Rutherford took the very first victory for McLaren. Speaking of McLaren, in the center is Fernando Alonso, who was bumped from the starting grid last year and is looking to take victory in what looks like will be his final start for at least 2 years, as he will be returning to Formula One in 2021 and beyond for the Renault F1 team. And on the outside is Australian James Davison, who features a sponsorship from NASCAR team Rick Ware Racing, who seems to be all over motorsport at the moment. No driver has won from 28th position since 1936, but starting from the inside of row 10 is the only way Helio Castroneves will find his 4th record-tying Indianapolis 500 victory. Starting in the center, looking to better his 3rd place he scored here in 2015. This year with A.J. Foyt Racing is American Charlie Kimball. And on the outside, returning after being bumped last year is Max Chilton for Carlin Racing. He led the most laps in the race here in 2017. And the final row, row 11, starting on the inside is Nazareth, Pennsylvania's Sage Karam. He rolls off from 31st position for the 2nd year in a row. In the center, there are no more famous second-place finishers at the Indianapolis 500 than J.R. Hildebrand, who crashed within the final 500 yards of the race while leading in 2011, losing the race to Dan Weldon. He's looking to set a miracle performance this year, winning the race from the last row of the grid. It's never been done. And on the outside is Ben Hanley, starting his 2nd Indianapolis 500 with Team Dragon Speed, a team that's very happy that only 33 cars showed up this year, as the team was late getting prepared and is happy to be on the grid at all. So that's the 33-car starting grid for the 104th running of the Indianapolis 500. Who are your picks? Are the odds in your favor? Are you betting on anybody this year? Let me know down in the comments section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more Indy 500 content on this channel. This has been David Land on YouTube, and I will see you in the next video. Okay, here we are. Welcome. I hope you enjoyed the starting grid video, even if it was your 2nd or 3rd or 4th or 5th time watching it. I'm really proud of it, so I thought it was a good introduction to this particular video, especially for those of you who will be watching in replay probably tomorrow morning, looking for content about the Indy 500 that simply doesn't exist, except for here on this channel. So obviously, we all know the situation. It's different this year. In a lot of ways, it sucks, but, you know, some Christmases are worse than other Christmases, but it's still Christmas. And for an auto racing fan, the day before the Indy 500 is Christmas Eve. So we're going to try to celebrate that today by previewing the 104th running of the Indianapolis 500. And how we're going to do that specifically is kind of parlaying off of that starting grid video. We're going to go through each of the 11 rows of 33 drivers in total, and talk about each of them in depth. What are the chances? What are the storylines involving them going into this race? And hopefully it will help you if you haven't been paying attention much through the month, because quite honestly, I haven't been paying that much attention during the month. So that's why we have great guys like Racing Nation TV. Kyle Cuthbertson here to help us along in that process. Kyle, you are on location in Indianapolis right now. So first of all, introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what has been going on in Indianapolis during this exceptionally crazy 2020 Indy 500. Oh, hang on. Hang on, they can't hear you. I forgot to unmute you. Sorry. Let's go back to Kyle. Kyle, reintroduce yourself. Thank you. Thank you, Chad. I swear I clicked the button. It just didn't go.
But yeah, I'm Race Nation TV, usually David's cameraman, but I bet most of you know that. I'm here on location in one of the suburbs surrounding Speedway. So I've been here since Thursday, covering the Lucas Oil Raceway Park events, the Carbonite Classic, where the Road to Indy Series, the USF 2000 and Indy Pro Series, has been going on. And that went very well. Obviously, that event had fans. And it was just, yeah, it was a great event. It was good to feel normal for once, you know. Cody Swanson won the Indy Pro 2000 race. He is a Silver Crown champion, and he won it in his first start.
Yeah, that was huge. That was okay. So I do want to talk about this. He's really quiet. Oh, good lord! Why are you so quiet, Kyle? Hold on.
I'm not in my normal.
Hang on. We'll go into. I've got your user volume all the way up. Okay, how can I fix this problem? If I turn the sound up in the computer, will that work on the?
Turn Discord up.
Yeah. Okay. Or turn
I'm not in my normal occupation.
Okay,
obviously.
I just turned Discord way up, so hopefully that works. And also, camera's gone off. Okay, let's try that again.
I'm not in my normal occupation, so I'm here using Apple earbuds as my microphone. So that could be one issue. But did everyone not hear anything I've said, or was it?
No, everybody heard what you said. I think it was just quiet. And yes, everybody is DMing me, including Jacob Abel. So it's not justice for Jabel, it's justice for David. But yes, this is definitely 2020, the screen. So can you guys actually hear him now?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Because I turned him way up. Boomer David in full swing. Now look, I've been out of the game for a little while here. So, still quiet. Kyle, turn your capture up.
How do I do that? I'm on Discord on my phone using Apple earbuds. I'm at very limited options here. I can put it way up to my face. Hold on.
For what it's worth, he's very loud in my ears.
I can put it up to my face.
Oh, everybody's saying it's good. Okay, everybody's saying it's good. Let's get back. And by the way, Jabel, get in here. let's get some drivers in here. Let's get that perspective going. Okay, so we were talking about Cody Swanson winning what is essentially 20% better. Yes, but it's still a bit low. Okay, well, I'll turn him up again. We were talking about Cody Swanson winning the Freedom 75.
That was the Freedom 90.
The Freedom 90. Well, there we go. We're screwing everything up already. That's a major thing that's happened because Cody Swanson is one of the best short track drivers on pavement, but of course those are front engine 900 horsepower cars with not a whole lot of tire. This was his first Formula car open wheel wing start, and yet he won, beating drivers like our pal Braden Eves and Jacob Abel, by the way, who sorry Jabel, but two of the guys that you guys know very well, and he beat them first time out. I think that is incredibly significant. Talk about it a little bit, Kyle, and I'll turn you up even more.
Yeah, Cody Swanson, obviously, heck of a talent. The lap times between the Silver Crown cars and the Indy Pros were actually a bit comparable, but Cody talked about how, conserving the tires and the way the cars drive, how, you can, kind of sense the Silver Crown car a bit more than the Indy Pro car, and how, how it just overall drives. But obviously, Cody has lots of experience at the Lucas Oil Raceway Park, and in a series where most of the drivers are road course based, and it was just I think everyone has always thought about. I mean, obviously, we had Chris Windom try out the Freeman 100 a few years ago or last year.
That went well.
And obviously, the Freeman 100 is a totally different race, and it was so nice to see a USAC guy, finally try a short track, and man, I think it's easy to say that you could have predicted this was going to happen, but I really, going into the weekend with limited track time like that, I don't think anybody expected this, and it's one of those things that just happened, and you're just like, wow, it was just eye-opening and crazy.
So I'm seeing a couple super chats come in. We are going to get to those. The way we're going to structure this today is that we are going to preview each of the 33 drivers. We're going to do it in sections of 11 drivers each. So at the end of the first segment of 11, we'll get to the super chats, read those off, and then continue with the stream, talking about previewing the Indianapolis 500. So, Kyle, there was some interesting activity today, and I want you to talk about what happened, or what some of the fan outreach things IndyCar and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway did today.
Oh, that was awesome. It was such a surprise. So today my plan when I woke up was, I was going to go to SIK and get the Hinchcliffe mask, because that's really funny, and I really wanted one of those. So it was like, whatever, we'll head out. And right when we got there, we saw, if anyone knows what Main Street Speedway is, downtown Speedway with SIK, Charlie Brown's, that stretch of road. We saw, the police cars and all these things, and we were just like, what the heck is going on? And so we just immediately pull over and step out of the car, and then down in one of the pace cars, one of the Camaros, comes Marco, Dixon, and basically all the starters, kind of like how they do the parade. So basically, and this is one thing we were wondering last night, because we noticed last night that they had all the pace cars lined up on the front straight at the Speedway, and we were like, what the heck are they doing? So they basically did a parade, but not a parade. Obviously, there was no floats or anything. It was just the drivers. And from what I know, this was really a surprise to a lot of people. So basically, there were a bunch of fans, lined up down the street. We got to see all the drivers. And then once the drivers, and what they were on their way to is each driver made their way to a fan or a ticket holder's house and presented them with gifts and autographs, and basically just went to their house and greeted them, all the longtime ticket holders, to kind of say thank you, and we hope to see you back next year. It was really cool to see. I mean, it made it feel, I've said this a bunch of times today, but it really feels like a Legends Day. Like today was probably the most normal out of all the days. I was there on Carb Day. I drove over to the Speedway, and I kind of hung out outside the gates with the rest of the fans, and that was what it was. But Legends Day today, because really, because there's no track activity, but today was just, they did a great job today. They did a really great thing.
And kind of like I said in my previous video, I think they've had to do this, because I think there's a lot of, obviously there's a lot of sour grapes with how everything's gone down, and a lot of it, most of it, hasn't been the Speedway's fault necessarily, but they've been the ones who are kind of, I don't want to necessarily say responsible for dealing with the negative ramifications of what's going on, but at the same time, it's nice to see that some things are being done, and for the fans especially. And I don't know if I should necessarily say this, but it it is funny that they host an impromptu parade where people gather very close by as the drivers drive by, and yet we couldn't be in this stand socially distance. I don't know. Just saying. Just saying. That's the only time I'll do that this time, hopefully. But yeah, it is what it is. The situation is what it is, and let's get to talking about the Indiana.
Jable's here.
Oh, Jable is here. Jable! Maybe.
Hello?
Jable! Yes!
Oh,
What's
hello.
up?
How we doing?
What's up, dog?
It's been a while.
I know. It's been... Yeah, I wish I would have been there last night. Maybe you wouldn't have wished I was there last night. But you were back in an Indy Pro 2000 car for the first time in a while on an oval. How was that, outside of not necessarily having the best result?
Yeah, I'm not really going to sugarcoat it. It was not the best race weekend we've had. Unfortunately, we just kind of missed the ball in the setup. Like, we had a quite good car there last year. We were very quick. I mean, it was my first oval race ever, and I qualified 5th and finished 5th, and I was top 3 in, like, all the practices. So we were expecting a lot going into this weekend, but unfortunately, it was just kind of the opposite of what we expected. He did a phenomenal job. Braden and I were obviously talking about that a lot. He was kind of the talk of the whole entire weekend. But yeah, very impressive there for sure.
Some people talking about your volume. I tried to fix it as best I could. I put you at 200%, and I have Discord literally as high as it will go on this computer, and I don't think I can make it any louder. Okay, Jable, are you ready to talk about drivers in the Indy 500?
I guess so.
So I'll turn myself down too a little bit, just to try to equalize things as best I can, and just hopefully it'll be okay. Remember, a lot of these streams are works in progress. I'm not a professional streamer, as you can see as the camera turns off, and we're gonna get the countdown. People talking about that. So we'll turn the camera off, and we'll just go from the back of the field to the front. So, at 500 to 1 odds, so if you bet $1 on this particular driver, you will make $500 if he wins. Ben Hanley for Dragon Speed. I'll start with Kyle. Kyle, is there anything we can talk about Ben Hanley? Is he going to have any factor in this race?
I mean, he looked better on carb day, but I mean, they're just still trying to work themselves up to speed. I mean, the team didn't come in, most of the crew didn't come in until Tuesday, and this deal came in very last minute. So I think they're happy to just be in the race, and yeah, hopefully just work themselves up to speed during the race. I hope they can just stay in the show and maybe make up some spots on attrition. So I think that's what they're hoping for.
Well, one thing I will say about Dragon Speed is they were very impressive last year. I think a lot of people wrote them off as an easy bump at the beginning of last year, and they put in the work. They got in on the first day. They weren't even in that kind of last 6 shootout. So they clearly earned their spot last year. And, quite honestly, they've earned it this year, even though obviously there's only 33 cars. And you're right, they did look a lot better on carb day. Didn't look like they were super way off the pace. And hopefully, as long as there's no mechanical issues, like you said, they'll make up, positions based on attrition. Because a lot of the fast guys, guess what? They're going to put it in the wall, racing for position. We just generally see that every single year. Jable, have you ever raced with Ben Hanley or met him? Or is there any kind of extra insight you might be able to bring to this discussion?
Honestly, about Ben, not at all. I mean, he's kind of more of that, like, European kind of endurance racing guy. I'm pretty sure. I don't know much about him at all. But the Dragon Speed team is very cool. I know a couple people who work on them or on that team. So, I wish all the best to him.
All right.
And I will say this, Elton Julian, the team owner of Dragon Speed, he's one of the smartest and, most open guys I think I've ever heard talk. And I think if this team can really get going, obviously, the pandemic didn't help But I was honestly, this is a team that I'm really looking forward to once they, really get their feet down and can really start, trying. I mean, last year we saw them in races, and they're just taking like a really slow, methodical approach to this. They know they're not going to be the best. They know it's going to be a slow process, but just Elton Julian's mindset on this team, the team owner, I have good feelings about them.
I have something to say about this team. Now I think about it. I think it was last year. Um, they had some help from Bob Lazier, and of course we know we lost Bob Lazier this spring to COVID-19. So technically, this is kind of the Lazier Partners Racing entry. So certainly, I think maybe the 81's racing for Bob Lazier. I know a lot of us met Bob, knew him, and give him a shout out on this stream. Hopefully the 81 does well. At least makes up some positions anyway. So position 32. Some people thought I roasted him in the starting grid video. Maybe I did. But J.R. Hildebrand. Some people call him J.R. Hildehair with the absolutely wild hairdo. I think it's kind of cool. But Dreyer Reinbold Racing, part-time team. Both cars actually on the last row as we see. Obviously an uphill battle, especially with the lack of practice. This year in particular, they had a couple of extra races that they were supposed to run this year and were unable to do that. So they've really been behind the eight ball. Is there any chance that, I guess we'll talk about both of them, JR or Sage have any kind of a factor in the race this year? Maybe.
Hildebrand's a guy that is probably not going to crash the car. The last couple seasons with Reinbold, he's been pretty consistent, and
got a top 10 in 18.
Yeah, and I'm honestly surprised to see the Reinbold team back here, and I would honestly look for them to make up some spots at the start. And we know how aggressive Karam can be. Maybe this is the year he's due to finally finish one of these. The last couple of years, it really hasn't been Karam's fault, that he hasn't really finished. Mainly been electronic issues or, something. So
did he not finish last year? I thought he finished last year.
He might have. But it all just kind of runs together because I feel like it's been like 2 or 3 times that I've seen Sage just kind of be stopped on track because of electrical or something of the sort.
Well, that kind of goes back to the part-time team thing, doesn't it? Is that this team, by default, even though they have some full-time employees, and certainly they work hard, we actually did a video with them, which unfortunately, not going to name names, but it got screwed up, at St. Pete. They're good guys at Dreyer Reinbold Racing, and they work hard to get here, clearly. I mean, how many part-time teams have 2 cars? I'll name them. It's 1, and it's Dreyer Reinbold Racing. So that's a significant feat. And there's a couple of reasons why I think they're at the back of the field. Like I've mentioned, lack of practice time, they're a part-time team. But the other thing is they didn't have to worry about qualifications this year. So their race cars, they may have qualified their race cars. That's the thing that I'm kind of thinking. They may have just worked on race setup the entire week and then go into this race just essentially giving up the qualifying position to have that extra time with higher downforce. I don't know. Jabel, what can you or what can you say about the chances for J.R. Hildebrand or Sage Karam from the Dreyer Reinbold team?
Again, it's kind of an unknown. We obviously know Sage can be a very aggressive driver, so he could put on a show for some of us fans at home here this week for sure. But again, that whole part-time team deal, I think another thing that's kind of screwed all of them this year is the introduction of the aero screen. I mean, you see all these other teams have a lot of testing with it and even other races with it. And teams like Dreyer and Reinbold don't, and I feel like it's a huge effect on the whole aero and setup of the car, just given the weight of it and the hole it punches through the air. So I feel like that's another thing that's kind of putting them on the back foot at the start of this month.
That's a great point. That's another great point. And I think you'll see, especially closer to the back, it's the teams that haven't run all the races. Even Penske with Elio. We'll see in the next row. Good Lord. Somebody just set off a freaking... Somebody's setting off fireworks again. It's not even a holiday. I mean, it is a holiday for, like, crazy people like us, but it's not a holiday for, like, normies. Maybe they are setting off fireworks for the Indy 500. I don't know. But, yeah, that's a great point. Great bit of insight there. Jacob Abel. So let's go on to row 10. And starting in position 30 is Max Chilton. Now, Max Chilton, a lot of people kind of crap on him. Don't really know why. He has kind of proven that he can hang on these oval tracks when he wants to. One car effort this year for Carlin Racing. Led the most laps in the 2017 Indy 500. Now, granted, that was for Ganassi. Much stronger car than I think he's got right now. But, you know, I don't think Max Chilton is, like, bad. And I think he could surprise tomorrow. Do I think he's going to win the race? Absolutely not. Do I think he's in a position to get a good top 15, top 10 finish based on attrition? I think maybe. What do you guys think?
I mean, I think we've seen this team the ovals with Conor Daly, and I think Conor Daly's helped the Carlin team tremendously on the ovals. And obviously, Max Chilton, a guy like you said, led the most laps in 2017. And I think if he can keep the car clean, and just one of those guys that can make up some spots on attrition, and maybe be there in the end.
Anything to say about Max Chilton, Jabel?
Again, it's one of those guys who can kind of just pick up some spots off attrition, and I think if he finishes and gets a few spots, that's a good day in his book.
There you go. Charlie Kimball. This is always an interesting one because, again, he's another driver that people talk a lot of crap about. He's actually really good at Indianapolis. He was the only Carlin Racing car to qualify last year. The other three of them went home. He has finished in the top three. Again, 2015. Again, driving for Ganassi. This year for AJ Foyt Racing. And we saw how fast he was at Texas. And this is something I just thought of right now. But Charlie Kimball wasn't exactly slow on the other super speedway race of this year. Again, he's starting further in the back, but is there any chance Charlie Kimball surprises us tomorrow?
Well, I was surprised to see the AJ Foyt team, as deep as they are in the field. And I think, just like the Reinbold team, as you said, I think these guys, both Kanan and Kimball, I think they both are going to have good race cars tomorrow. And I think Kimball's a guy that can definitely get his way through the field. He has, ran here. He's ran very well here. 2015, 17 really stands out to me. I think, if they do have good race cars, I think, they could do very well.
Anything about Charlie Murphy, Mr. Abel?
No, again, I think you guys are kind of covering it all here. I'm just a driver who doesn't really know anything about the rest of the sport, so...
I second that, except for tuning go-karts. He's a master tuner.
Braden Eves is here! Out of nowhere, off the top rope. Talking about...
RKO right now.
Alright, so Braden Eves is here, chat, so say hi. Braden, you have had, I would describe as an up-and-down season thus far in Indy Pro 2000. What happened last night with you? How did you enjoy your first oval race of the season? And how about that Cody Swanson guy? Good God.
Enjoy.
Yeah. So it's been up and down. Honestly, I feel like it's just been kind of lackluster. But like as far as our pace goes, we've never been off pace ever this year. So we've always been in the top 3 for pace, and I don't think that's going to change. So as long as we can continue. Or actually not even continue because we haven't really executed to where we should have. But some of that's on me, some of that's on the team. But we're all in it as a team effort, and it is what it is, and that's racing. So, it was an interesting race. Unfortunately, just the nature of Lucas Oil Raceway doesn't necessarily lend itself the best to Indy Pro 2000 racing with the aero wash and all that. So it's kind of wherever you qualify, you may be able to get 3 positions, but more or less everyone was either plus or minus 1 or 2 positions in the race. And I had that big moment in qualifying where I oversteered quite hard in turns 1 and 2 on the first lap and tried to gather it up and managed to gather it up. But overall, when you have something happen in a 2-lap quali run, it just completely destroys it all. So, it was a good race. I did what I could, and ultimately, Cody did an amazing job. I mean, that guy's practically an oval master, so he schooled all of us in the race, and hats off to him. But I think go back and do it again, I think it would have been a different result, and that's kind of been the story of the season. But I'm looking forward to Gateway. It's much more suited to the downforce cars, where we're going to have, it's going to be basically a super speedway race for us Indy Pro drivers.
It's a pack race, folks.
Yeah, it's a pack race, and it's gnarly. There's 2 wide, 3 wide in the first few laps, and it's crazy. So I'm looking forward to it. I think we are going to be very strong, but I've said that about every race, so we'll just have to see how it goes. And overall, just I'm liking oval racing. It's just so different, and for us drivers, I've only done 1 oval before this weekend, and it's all very fresh to us. So. Things like qualifying, it's just much more of a, I have a million more laps on a road course than I do on an oval. So it's something, my biggest focus is to improve on ovals, but I'm looking forward to Gateway. I think it's going to be much more of a IndyCar-esque type oval race than Lucas Oil was, and we'll see.
Okay, so there is a happier thing that I do want to talk about real quick, is that I was super impressed that you jumped in our friends, the Willpower Cart, and you went out there and you beat down a bunch of guys that race go-karts full-time every year, all year. Like, how? How did you do that?
Yeah, that was fun. I've got a lot of years in karting, so it's a little bit different than, like for sure, it's hard to go back and do karting against all those guys that are doing it nonstop. But I love karting, and when the Mid-Ohio event got postponed, I was like, oh, sweet. At least I can do something, and put together that deal with Will Power Kart, and it was an amazing go-kart. Jacob Abel was on the wrenches, making sure that all my stuff was dialed. We had an amazing performance between the two of us, so huge thanks to Jacob Abel, amazing mechanic. That was fun. And SCUSA Pro Tour is so competitive, and we were able to get 2 wins. One of them got taken away, but the people that are in karting know that the pushback bumpers, some of them happen just randomly, basically, and that was what happened. There was just unavoidable contact that didn't hurt anyone, but the bumper was pushed in on one side, so I got a 3-second penalty and took the win away. But it was one of my best wins, so that was super fun to get back in a go-kart. It was amazing training, honestly, because it's so physical in karting, and just doing that nonstop for 2 weeks. I've been racing so much, and I still have I have Gateway and then Indy, so it's still nonstop for me. I'm loving it right now. This is like what I've been looking forward to all COVID-19 season, where we were doing nothing. I was like, oh, I can't wait to go racing again. And now we're racing nonstop, but it's tiring. So like these couple days that I have off in between Lucas Oil and Gateway, I'm just going to be sleeping a lot and obviously training, but getting a lot of rest and refocusing, getting all my mental capacity back. And but shout out to War Power Kart, amazing car. Those of you that know, it's under like the Kart Republic brand, so which is won the past couple world championships in karting, and it was at Newcastle, which is a track that I love, so it was good.
And good for Braden Eves is who we're talking about, chat. Some people were like, who are we talking to? Braden Eves, the Indy Pro 2000 driver, USF 2000 champ from last year. And he's going to help us break down the rest of the grid. Also, it sounds like Jacob Abel's a regular AJ Foyt with the sprint cars and iRacing and the wrenching on Braden Eves' kart and all this stuff. Anyway, Elio Castroneves, probably the closest equivalent, even though this might be a bit of a controversial statement, to an AJ Foyt, based solely on the fact that he has 3 Indianapolis 500 wins. rolling off from 28th position at 33 to 1 odds. But I think Elio is going to be super, super motivated this year to get his 4th win. This may be the last time he gets to race for Roger Penske. I think he's well aware that this is his probably last opportunity in this kind of equipment. I think Elio is going to the front. I don't know if he's going to win, but I think he's going to have he's going to give it his damnedest try, and hopefully he won't get run over in the pits by James Davison this year. But we'll have to see. So I guess we'll pass it around. I don't know who wants to take Elio first. What do you guys think about Elio? What you've seen of him this month, and what you think he might do in the race?
Anyone?
Well, I guess I can start off.
There we go.
Since nobody else is, but firstly, I haven't really been in on the rest of this chat, so I just wanted to say a few things openly that isn't necessarily aimed at Elio in general, but I think this year is going to be very interesting in the race. I think because of the differences with the car and how they upped all the horsepower, all the boosts for qualifying. I think the qualifying field was quite jumbled, and I think there's some people that are very, very good in, as far as a race car goes, they can pass quite well, that are all over the place. I don't know the status of Elio's performance on that, but I do think that there's going to be quite a bit of moving around in the race, as far as there's going to be people coming from 28th that could be top 5 contenders for sure. So no interesting notes on Elio, but I just wanted to say that first.
Yeah, but you said you could totally see comers and goers in this race. You think that the qualifying boost was not representative of what we're going to see in the race, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was talking to there's obviously a lot of the IndyCar spotters for the 500 come over and spot for a lot of people at Lucas Oil Raceway and Indy Pro 2000 and USF 2000, and just chatting with a couple of them, there's some people that were quite quick in quality that just have no pace on a race run and can't pass. I think the Chevrolets are going to be much, much stronger and come race day. So yeah, I think Elio could be one of those guys that has so much experience that could come through a field and just, come out of nowhere, basically. I mean, starting in 28th, I think he could come to the front for sure.
Kyle and Jabel, what do you guys think about Elio Castroneves?
Take it away, Kyle.
Well, I mean, you guys covered it all. I totally agree with David. I think, Elio's going to be hungry. He was told that, he can be looking for a ride next year because he was like, the Acura team is not going to be anymore, and yeah, I mean,
well, it's not going to be the Penske Acura team.
Oh yeah, it's not going to be Penske.
There's a couple of other teams that are going to get that, and one of them I think is Ohio based.
Could be possibly, but Elio's going to be hungry for his 4th. It could be the last one with Team Penske, so it's I think he could do it.
There you go. All right, so that is, unless Jabel has something super intelligent to say about Elio, we're going to go on to row number. Okay.
I'm all good.
Fair enough. All right, row number 9. This is clickbait row, no doubt about it. We've got we're gonna start in P27. The Rick Ware Racing with Dale Coyne Racing and Bird Racing. I think that's all the partners in this particular. And then of course it's crewed by my pal Luis Perrocari. So I give him a shout out. Good team manager there. Run some of the Honda program. Yes.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, yeah. They ran that car last year when it was the oh god, what number was that last year? 33. When it was the 33 car last year. But yeah,
that's some good information. That's some good reporting.
There you go. Yeah, it's actually, I don't want to talk too much about like what happens behind the scenes, but actually, his son Christian watched the channel, and I just happened to walk by the garage one day, and they dragged me in there, and suddenly, like, I'm standing next to the car in Gasoline Alley. I'm like, what the hell's going on? But yeah, they're good people, and they're great at getting that car up to speed every year. I mean, James Davison qualified way higher last year. Obviously, again, this is a part-time team, track time. at a premium, but he's still in the same run with Fernando Alonso and Simon Pagenaud. And we know how fast James Davison has been here in the past. If you look at 2017, it's the great example when he got the Sebastian Bourdais ride. He was right up there at the front. So I won't necessarily say Davison's a dark horse, but if you look at the fact that his teammate Alex Palou is in the top 9, Santino Ferrucci was the Rookie of the Year last year for Dale Coyne Racing, I wouldn't say that Dale Coyne Racing is like an automatic, this car is not going to be a contender at all. I don't know. What do you guys think about Davison? What do you guys think about Coyne? What do you guys think about the NASCAR partnership?
Well,
I think Davison is another one of those guys that he's super hungry. He's very active on Twitter, as many of the David Land fans know. He's one of those guys that's super hungry. He only gets a few shots a year, so he wants to make everything of it. And he's one of the guys that just absolutely loves the 500. So, I think he'll be hungry. And, obviously everyone's hungry, and we can say that about every single person. But I think he'll be definitely one of the people to look out for. He's one of the people that necessarily people might be sleeping on him a little bit because he's starting 27th. And look at those betting odds. I mean, geez, that's rough. But, I think he's one of those guys that wants to do it really well as anyone. So, that's all I have to say on him.
Go for it, Kyle, and then we'll have Jabel finish us off because he's always entertaining, even if he has absolutely nothing to say.
Yeah, the NASCAR involvement. I mean, that's not really just a sponsorship, but like the chat said, Rick Ware is everywhere. I think that's awesome to see. James Davison is, he's a Silver Crown guy. He's Chili Bowl guy. He's everywhere.
NASCAR Cup
now. He's NASCAR Cup Series driver James Davison now. I mean, it's cool stuff to see a guy like James Davison doing as much as he has been lately. And like Braden said, he's hungry. The Dale Coyne team has shown speed in the past. Obviously now they're only down to Olivier Boussin as the engineer. I believe he's doing the 18 car or the 19 car, but really it's the whole team.
There is no 19 car this year. It's the 55.
Oh, the 55 car. I'm lost. But yeah, I think he's slowest Honda, but I think he's got a shot to come up the field.
Well, this is something to think about, and it's worth mentioning. The one thing that worries me about Davison specifically is that they skipped the Monday practice, or no, not Monday. They skipped the Sunday practice because Davison was running Daytona in the Cup Series. That, the lack of a day of testing time when there are only 4.5 days where you could practice, that concerns me. And so I think they, especially as a part-time team, that's one that just makes me go, ooh. That's what I guess makes me nervous about Davison. But Jabel, it sounded like you know a little bit about this team. Tell us something we don't know.
Oh, no, I know absolutely nothing about this team. I just know Lou.
Well, give us a fact about Lou, because he's a good guy.
Oh, he's a great guy. He was working on a TCR team last year for Shelby Blackstock, LAP Motorsports.
Yes.
And so I kind of got into affiliation with him through that. So I met him last year at the 500. Really good guy. Seems very switched on, obviously, about everything. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. So we do like the guys who run the 51 car. Good people. Good people. Okay, well, here we go. It came a little bit earlier than I think a lot of people were expecting, but at least we get to talk about him being in the starting grid this year. Fernando Alonso, 2-time Formula One world champion. So I'll just go ahead and say it. I don't think he will win. I don't have the confidence in him, his experience level at this particular point. The third string McLaren car, they've been very fast on the ovals, but for some reason I almost have a feeling, well, I don't know if I want to say this, but I think that Award and Askew might just have kind of those young guy balls, and might be willing to do some crazy stuff that Alonso's not willing to do with a $100 million Renault contract coming. I'm just saying, he's got that to think about. So I
I
think
don't think Alonso's thinking about that as much as Cyril is.
yes, Cyril's definitely. But that's the thing. So to me, even in the McLaren team, Alonso wouldn't be my pick. Like I would pick Award and Askew to finish ahead of Alonso in this race. I could be totally wrong, but I think either one of the McLaren drivers who isn't named Alonso is a better choice for victory over Fernando. I don't know. You guys go ahead. It might be a little bit too hot takey. Let's see what everybody else says.
To be honest, I don't think that's really a hot take.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, I don't. I haven't really seen the Fernando Alonso that we saw in, what was that, 2017?
Yeah.
With McLaren or McLaren Andretti.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly, David. Same page as far as Award and Askew have looked quite strong, and Fernando has never really looked that strong like they did, especially in the practice yesterday. So you know, if there's a McLaren out there winning, I don't see it being Fernando, and I don't know necessarily how much he is motivated right now at the 500 after having that lackluster performance last year, and he's quite clearly switched on to getting back into Formula One. But you know, he's one of those guys that gives it his all every single time he's on track. So you know, I could see him getting a top 10 if his day goes absolutely amazing, but I don't see him winning the race by any means.
There you go, Kyle.
How ironic is it that the year, because last year we were like, oh, he's in a Chevrolet. That's actually probably the better choice. But now, he's in the Chevrolet, he's in the show, but it just seems like the Hondas are better. How ironic. But
that's the Fernando. That's the story of Fernando's career. He always makes the wrong decision. He always chooses wrong. Okay,
Yeah,
go on.
I think it's one of the I hate, this might be a hot take, but I almost feel like when Fernando is one of those guys that has so much talent that when he leaves a team, they become much more motivated to do well. Almost than when he's there, because they want to prove that, you know, when Fernando doesn't do well, everyone says, "Oh, the team didn't do their job." And when Fernando leaves, then the team's like, "Okay, we have to beat Fernando now if he's on a different team." It's kind of one of those situations. Especially with Honda. I think Honda did an amazing job as soon as all that
yeah, they did.
stuff happened in Formula One. They turned it up 10 notches and started having one of the most competitive engines in Formula One right after he left. And I think it was one of those situations where they were like, you know, Honda's one of those brands that you know, they obviously it's a huge operation, but it's almost a little bit ego driven where, you know, they get dissed on a monumental scale by a lot of people for the unreliability and the whole GP2 engine thing, and then he leaves and they're like, okay, you know, we're going to make the best Formula One engine now.
Okay, Kyle, Jabel, anything to add to that?
I mean, no, not really. Everyone kind of hit it on the head. He's just kind of, I hate to say it, but he's just kind of been there this year. It's not like the first year it was like, wow, Fernando Alonso, he's doing so well, he could win this race. This is insane. And it wasn't like last year, wow, like Fernando Alonso's not going to make the show. This year, he's just kind of mid to the back of the pack, and it's like, oh, well, okay.
Yeah, I don't think Fernando's, you know, gonna do bad. You can see the lack of experience and just like the spin in pit lane, the crash. You can just see the lack of experience, and you know, like a lot of people, I think he, you know, maybe will have to do a few more races and before he wins a 500. I think that's what's going to take, is he's going to need more experience and time in the car before the actual race.
I'll double down on that. I say he needs to do a season. I think he needs to do 2 years. I think if he really is serious about winning the Indy 500, he needs to run a full rookie season, run all the races, get to know the team, and then that second season, that's the one that's going to be your shot.
It's more than Le Mans, where you just get in an LMP1 hybrid and win the race. I think he needs to realize that.
Yeah, I mean, this is the tough one, and again, it does the race no good mean, I wouldn't say it would be bad for the race, but if Fernando wins this year, it won't do the race any good, especially starting from 26th. I think Fernando struggling at Indy and also having that storyline, especially the next couple of years where he's going to be contractually obligated to not be here, and having that kind of build the momentum of the race, I think that's a good thing. So I think Fernando not winning is a good thing for the race. But anyway, so speaking of the winning the race, last year's winner was Simon Pagenaud. This year, he's the 25th starting spot driver. Only one other driver, as I mentioned in the starting grid, has ever won the race from this position, and that was in 1974. That was a while ago. But Simon Pagenaud did win from last on the grid at Iowa, and I think that is very important to point out because he has already proven that he can win an oval race starting this far back in the field. So, do I think Simon Pagenaud has a chance to win this Indy 500? I will say abso-freaking-lutely. I think by lap 50 he will be in the top 10, and I think by the end of the race we're going to be talking about him as a guy who's going to be potentially winning this race. Anybody want to prove me wrong or argue that point?
You're not wrong at all. I think honestly,
you're not wrong.
Even from 25th, from all the talk I've heard all week about how good Pagenaud's race car is, I think he's honestly the favorite. Especially
that's
being a Penske.
That's a hot take.
I would say so. I think so.
More than Scott Dixon?
Yeah, he's right up there. He is right. Not
you said the favorite. I'm like, what?
Absolute
from 25th.
Well, he's in an interesting situation. Like he has. I agree with him. I think he has a car that if he was starting in the top 3, that he would be the favorite.
There we go.
But
good point.
It's one like he's gonna be on a different strategy than everyone else is, and it's a 500-mile race. It's super long, and you don't know what can happen. So, them going in with an alternate strategy from lap 1, you don't know what could happen. It could pay off hugely in the race. I mean, there's been a number of situations like that in the past where people start in the back and have the alternate strategy from lap 1, and it ends up paying off, and then they end up right at the front at the end.
Mm-hmm. Kyle, expand on your thoughts a little bit, and then Jabel, feel free to chime in a little bit. I'm actually going to go use the bathroom real quick, so Kyle, talk a little bit more about Simon. I think you said he was the favorite, right? So expand on that, because again, yes, the defending winner of the Indy 500 is usually the favorite, but 25th. I mean, I wouldn't even have gone as far to say favorite. I mean, you won up me a little bit there.
I think he's the favorite. Yeah, Team Penske, brilliant. Simon Pagenaud, just from watching him all week in practice, I think he just looks to me like his car the race setup is great. I think he's the favorite. Odds-on favorite. If you were betting, then your easy bet is Scott Dixon. But I'm just saying, favorite, to win the race, I would have to say Simon Pagenaud. I think he's the guy. Even from 25th. All of these Penske drivers that are in the back. It's an off year for Penske in qualifying. All of these guys, they're I believe they'll be in the top 10 and they'll be, going after the win. I think these guys with the race setup, like Braden said earlier, I think the Chevrolet, I don't think they're way off. I think the boost, the qualifying boost did not show, was not the same as what they're going to have in the race, Anything, Jabel?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to tell because I feel like this could be actually one of the years where it's like, wow, okay, Penske's not Penske this year, if that kind of makes sense. Just kind of from what I've heard from people who've been at the track all week is I know a few of them are struggling for sure. Like even yesterday they were struggling. I mean, I've seen some people in the comments say and I don't even know, were they quick yesterday? Where did Pagenaud end up yesterday and time wise, and how was he in traffic? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't really look at the time. See, with practice in race setup, the timing sheets aren't, the greatest to go off of. It's more of And obviously, I mean,
That's true.
I was at the gate yesterday. I didn't see much of the on track and
Yep.
how they looked, but throughout the week, just watching the packs and the happy hour moments, just seeing those cars, they didn't look off or as off, which is why it was a surprise to see them the way they were in qualifying, starting on Fast Friday, how the Chevrolets were behind. I think they've put so much into their race setup. I think they're just going to the front. And odds-on favorite Scott Dixon makes sense because you also have to look at the last 2 years with the IR18 kit. It's been the front row has been the winner. It's someone on the front row. Last year was a pole sitter. I believe Power did it from second or third. But yeah, I mean, it's easy to pick someone starting way ahead. But I mean, this year, I mean, we have not. One thing about this year in particular is we have not seen a Fast 9 that is so. The Fast 9 this year is like a totally different than any other year has been. So
Right.
it's just to say Pagano is not the favorite, or really any. I mean, you could call any of the Penske drivers in my mind the favorite, because with how the starting grid looks this year, I think the Chevrolets, because without bumping, a lot of the teams, because it is different than the last
They
year.
just
Without
went into
bumping,
full race
yeah.
setup kind of focus. Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's back to qualifying not really being as important. Obviously, qualifying is always important, but race setup this the most important.
But if you don't
Because
think
you
you're
didn't have to worry about it.
if you don't think you're easy in that Fast 9 though, you don't have to worry about qualifying. That's the thing. That's like either you're in the Fast 9 or you're not. Like that's the deal with qualifying in years where there's only 33 cars. If you're on that cusp, if you think I could maybe trim way out and get 11th, like is that really worse? Is that worth the risk of crashing your race car that you know is good for 10 positions that you'll probably be able to make up on the first pit stop? You know? I think that's the trade-off that I think a lot of teams, I think the big teams look at. Now the small teams, like I said, I think they focused entirely on race setup the whole time. But I don't know. Is that everything we need to talk about with Simon Pagano?
I think so.
All right. Let's move on to row 8. This should be a quicker row. Dalton Kellett, 400 to 1 odds. Very first oval track start driving for A.J. Foyt. However, he did outqualify his much more experienced teammate, Charlie Kimball, and was only 3/10 of a mile an hour, 3/10 of a mile an hour off of his much, much more experienced teammate, Tony Kanaan. His first IndyCar oval start. Gentlemen, can we expect anything from Mr. Kellett today or tomorrow?
One thing I know is, well, Jay will go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, can we just appreciate Dalton qualifying? I mean, P24. Look at the row we just got finished with: Fernando Alonso, Simon Pagano. He outqualified guys like that in his first 500. I think that's an
not
feat.
to discredit Dalton, because it is very impressive that he is starting 24th, but he was the third car out in qualifying.
Yeah, fair enough.
When the temperature was cooler. That is the one thing that that's the one thing I thought. It was, it's really cool how he is in front of Pagano and Fernando and Elio and a lot of the fast guys, but he was third draw out, and he went, and that might have been his one and done of the day, and he ended up 24th.
But we don't hold that against anybody else, though. I mean, it could have been one of the front runners who got a good draw. I mean, ultimately the guy put in, like Jabel said, he put 4 laps in at almost 229 miles an hour. Doesn't matter if that was good conditions or not. Doesn't matter. That's what it reads. That's where he qualified. I think the thing you're talking about is he going to maintain 24th place pace when everything is equal? I would probably say no. But I think, again, if he finishes the race, there's going to be a ton of vets and a ton of more experienced drivers that crash or have mechanical issues. So he could still have a good finish, I think.
Yeah.
And I honestly think Dalton could kind of surprise some people here, because you look back at all his Indy Lights races, his strong points were the ovals. The Freedom, he was always, I think he qualified on pole there maybe a couple times. If I'm correct.
Almost won a race at Gateway.
Yeah, exactly, and Gateway as well. He he's got some oval experience, and he's been pretty impressive on ovals. I think he could be quite impressive. I think if he got in the top 20 and ran there, and even if he got a top 20 finish, that would be insane. That'd be really good for him. And yeah, I don't think it's impossible either. Like, I think that could be very, very doable.
There you go. Braden?
Well, I like his number. It's number 41. I always ran the 41 in karting. And I think because of that, I like him a little bit more. So
really focusing on the important issues here.
He has an amazing livery too.
Yeah, I do like the mint julep deal going on there. I don't. It's funny. His car and Fernando's car are actually really hard to tell apart when they're like head on.
The orange on Kellett's car is just amazing. That stands out to me. That orange, the orange on that car.
I think if you want to bet on someone that is almost certainly not going to win the race, but if he does, you want to get rich quick, you bet on Dalton Kellett.
Oh man, I would. I think I would. This is nothing against Dalton.
Where's every dollar?
I would bet on Chilton and I think is he? Well,
he's on him,
dude. Chilton's 400 to 1 too. I would bet on Chilton based on prior experience, but I again, we're laughing now. We're laughing now, but what if Dalton wins? And you just gave like the greatest financial advice.
I would be so happy if Dalton won this race. Him and his family are some of the greatest people ever. I'd cry.
There you go. We'll get Jay. We'll get Jay, but you better come on tomorrow then when we're talking about the race, and you better be crying if Dalton wins.
Dalton Kellett have a 2-hour live stream celebrating his presence in the Indy 500.
Could you imagine? What? I'm just picturing Dalton like with the wreath and with the milk and man, that would be the most 2020 Indy winner ever. That'd be cool though. Could you imagine like AJ Foyt would be like, I didn't even know he was driving for me. Could you imagine like AJ Foyt's reaction? That would be fantastic. Here's somebody. While we're talking about great guys who would win the race, or how cool it would be for guys to win the race, Tony Kanaan. Supposedly his final season, even though he said he's going to come back, at least for the next couple of years, for the Indy 500. What are Tony's chances? Because he's clearly not got the car that he had even a couple years ago where they were up front. Is there any way Tony Kanaan gets a second Indy 500 win, or is it just completely unrealistic?
Somebody else go first.
Well, like I said with Kimball, someone in the chat was actually, I said I was surprised to see the Foyt cars this far back, and someone was like, well, have you seen them the last couple years? But through practice, I thought Kanaan, with how far he was up and how he looked in practice, I thought that team had kind of found the speed they had 2 years ago, and that they would be closer to the front. But then, you go back to what we've been talking about is cars and teams that have been, going for race setup rather than focusing on qualifying. And I think Kanaan is one of those guys. Obviously, this is the TK last lap until we go into the TK last lap Electric Boogaloo edition in 2021. But yeah, I mean, I think he's always hungry at the 500. He's always aggressive, and he's always aggressive but smart. So yeah, I think he's a guy who can, of all the guys back here, I think he's one of them that really is going to charge to the front.
Anything from Jabel or Braden about Mr. Kanaan, or
I think he could go to I think he could get a top 10. I'm not picking him for a win by any means, but I think. Yeah, no, I don't have too much to say about him, to be honest.
There you go. He did get a top 10 last year.
It's all about finding that 2018 pace. That's all he needs.
Oh, they're not going to get. Nah, I'll guarantee that Tony. I'll put it this way: Tony's a way better driver than 23rd, and he's 23rd. So
I just think it's like this is one of the years that it's been even more hard, like one of the hardest years to pass that we've seen with the new aero screen. So like it's really hard to say that there's going to be all these big movers when this is probably the year that qualifying is the most important out of all of them. And on top of that, when it's hard to pass, typically there's less cautions because people are going too wide less often, and less cautions mean less chance of a alternate strategy being the fluke win or whatever. So I don't know. I think it's not going to be the most. I don't think there's going to be anyone that makes some crazy move from the back of the pack to the front to win the race this year, if there's any year that happens.
Not even Will Power, who is the driver starting in 22nd position for Team Penske. We talked about the potential that Simon Pagenaud could be a favorite coming from the back of the field. Will Power in 22nd. Do you think anybody? I will go out.
No.
Really? Because I think he's gonna gain at least 10 position on the first lap. Put me in for that.
As much as I love the legendary Will Power, whom
of Will Power kart,
to which his name is on the side pod, and I won that race with his name on the side pod.
Full disclosure.
A week and a half ago. He FaceTimed me after a number of sessions.
Ooh.
So that was really cool. But to be completely unbiased, I'm gonna stick to what I said. You know, I'm not gonna be counting anyone outside of the top 12 to win the race, and he wasn't looking super strong. So, love you, Will Power, but not one of the favorites.
That sound you hear is an angry Australian in the motorhome lot. Making an angry phone call to Will Power to Bray Neves right now.
He doesn't seem too happy about his car either. I don't know. Did you see that interview where he was like, "Oh man, I just don't know what I have to do to get the car."
Dude, Will Power does that on every road course, and then he goes pole by like half a second. That's just Will Power. He's like, "Oh, my car sucks," and then he goes out there and he wins the race by 10 seconds. It's like, "Oh, I didn't even know the car was that good, man."
I think Will Power gets really frustrated at the 500 because he's one of the best one-lap drivers in the world, and he does so well in qualifying all the time. But the 500, you just can't put the car on your back. So I think he just gets really frustrated at the 500. But it is what it is. Yeah, like I said, rooting for him, but not the favorite.
So anybody got anything else to add to that?
I mean, Will Power has been one of the best oval drivers the last couple seasons. He's been a better oval driver than a road course driver the last few years. Yeah, just like Pagenaud, I think I'll consider him a favorite. He's one of mine.
Okay, I think that's all for Will Power. Do you have a couple super chats since we're at the 11 driver mark? Mr. Anti-Ant asks, "Who's your favorite to win the 500?" Well, that's an interesting question, Mr. Anti-Ant. That would be something we'll answer at the end of the stream. Rodney sent $4.99, didn't say anything, so thank you for that, Rodney. And then Logan Detweiler asks, "Who has Ryan Hunter-Reay as their pick tomorrow?" I guess we're not to Ryan Hunter-Reay yet, but I guess we'll ask the chat. Is anyone thinking that Ryan Hunter-Reay is going to win the Indy 500 tomorrow? Silencio.
Gets
Oh, he's gonna make us look really stupid tomorrow. Every time there's like an awkward silence, I'm like, oh my god, Dalton Kellett's gonna win the Indy 500. Anyway, let's go on. Let's go on to row number 7, and we start with car number 7. Oliver Askew, who, by the way, shout out to Kamikaze Games, his Nostradamus video, spoiler alert if you haven't watched that already, his Nostradamus video predicted that Oliver Askew would crash, but still lead a Aero McLaren SP12 with Pato O'Ward in second place. So we know who Kamikaze Games is picking for the Indy 500. Askew has looked... Nostradamus, sorry. We know Askew has looked really, really good on the ovals. In fact, exceptionally good at Iowa. Starting deep in the field, but again, I don't think that's as big of an issue. Braden thinks it is a big issue. But we have seen that the McLaren team in particular is good at getting their drivers off strategy and up to the front, especially on the ovals. But even they did it at Road America as well. What are the chances for Oliver Askew? Are we thinking possible Rookie of the Year? Are we thinking possible winner? Or are we thinking a bit of a bust? Let's go, fellas.
I'll go first. All right. Oliver is a straight OG. All right. Oliver's the man.
Bias.
No. But honestly, the McLaren cars have looked really good, and there's a lot of cars like. I think once you get to the back of the Honda drivers in qualifying, those guys are going to be moving backwards, and the people that were at the front of the Chevys in qualifying are going to be moving forward. So there's going to be some battling right there in that 10th through 15th or whatever that is. I think there's going to be some battling there, but Oliver is a guy that was very, very strong in actual race trim, passing cars, so he's one of the people that does look better. As far as that goes, this whole row looks honestly like a pretty good road to me for people that could move forward in the race.
There you go. What do you think, Kyle and Jabel? Oliver Askew.
Oliver's
I like
no
Oliver
G.
a lot. I think he could do really well here. Like Braden said, I think the Chevys are going to be. I almost think they're going to be kind of the ones in the race. I don't know. I feel like Oliver, he's a very experienced driver, and I think down the road he's going to be a very championship-esque driver. He kind of stays out of trouble, and he always gets really consistent finishes and things like that. So I can see him in the top 10 very easily, maybe even the top 5 as well.
We also need to throw in there that Oliver Askew and Ferrucci had a very interesting iRacing.
I was going to say that.
So let's hope that there isn't any incident like there was crossing the finish line on the first lap.
Hey,
when
look,
they're next to each other.
Look, there's no fans for Santino to do it for, so there's okay.
But it's for the TV.
Oh well, there is TV. There is TV. Don't do it, Santino. Don't do it. No, bad. Okay. Anything to say about Mr. Askew, Kyle, before we go on to the rest of this meme row?
They already kind of said it all. Oliver's no G. Won the Freeman 100 last year. Had us
There
all
you go.
screaming in the penthouses, and yeah, I think we'll move to the front.
Passed in like the last foot, Ryan Norman. So there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, there's actual footage of David saying, "Norman's got it. Norman's got it." And
Yeah.
he didn't have it.
Yeah. Well, I also thought that What's His Nuts was going to have it, and I was wrong about that. Toby Sowery, whatever. Wrecking Chicken Tendies. Yeah. Anyway, by the way, Chicken Tendies said he was going to come on for tomorrow's stream, so that's fun. Jack Harvey, Meyer-Shank Racing. He ran up front in 2018. That was strategy, but got Andretti Autosport parts on that car. Slowest of the cars with those particular Go Fast parts. That being said, what do we think, fellas? Braden's not allowed to answer this, by the way. He's biased. But oh wow, that's a big super chat. Thank you. We'll get to that when we get to the end of the next 11 drivers. But thank you for that. Yeah, Jack Harvey. What do we think? Everybody but Braden, and then Braden can give his party line answer.
I think Jack's gonna do pretty well with the Andretti parts. Just on these ovals, like we saw at Texas, he was kind of at the back in qualifying at Texas. They were just kind of taking it easy, and I think he's just going to take a methodical approach to this race and just try and make up positions as he can and keep the car safe.
Jabel?
I agree with that completely. Don't really have much to add. But yeah, we'll see. Take it away, Braden.
Take it away. Okay, well, to be honest, completely unbiased, guys.
He's got Michael Shank stickers on his race car.
18 times, and he's going to win the race. But nah, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I think, honestly, Jack has become one of the front runners in the car this year. Has done a terrific job this whole year. And Meyer-Shank Racing, I think they were pretty disappointed with the qualifying effort. But it is what it is. I think he's a smart driver. He is very good at what he does, and I think that he will do a good job no matter where he finishes, and I think he will maximize the car wherever it is.
Santucci, Rookie of the Year last year. Dale Coyne Racing, starting a lot further back. Actually, no, he isn't. I think he's starting about right where he started last year. Everybody says he had a bad qualifying effort. I don't think that's right. I have to go back and look, but I think he started around 18, 19, 20, 17, somewhere around there. He started right about where he's starting this year. And he's still got a top 10 last year. Again, Alex Palou proved that those cars are fast. Does Santucci have any shot of winning the Indianapolis 500?
You got to do it for the TV, man, for the fans.
I think if there's a crash, that he's not going to break.
There you go. Okay.
It's going to be a lawnmower, boys.
Grass and gain 18 positions.
Yeah.
A lawnmower today, boys.
He doesn't
Still
have...
the greatest interview of all time.
He's not going to have his good luck.
I said, we're going to be a lawnmower today, boys.
I do want to see the internet's reaction to when Santino does win a race. Because I think he will eventually win a race. And it'll be glorious. There will be some blogs that I will be actively hitting the F5 button on.
Yeah, I think he's gonna have some. I think he's gonna have some highlight reel moves. I think he's gonna pull some Alexander Rossi around the outside in turn 1 on a restart. I think he's gonna pull some moves because he's one of those drivers that is super aggressive on starts. So I think he's gonna have some good moves for sure.
Does he have an onboard camera? I hope he does, because that start's gonna be exciting. You're right, Braden.
That's a great comparison, because now that we have Rossi starting in the Fast 9, Ferrucci's, essentially going to be our Rossi this year, where he's just, probably going to be making some crazy moves coming to the front, probably around the outside, good onboards, probably waving his fist at some people.
So let me just get this straight. Braden thinks that Will Power will not be good to watch on the start, but Santino Ferrucci will be. Let's just keep that in our back pocket there for the start of the.
I don't think Will Power is going to be there either. I just don't.
Oh my God, Jacob Abel.
I've heard he's not impressive this year. So
there you go.
But no, Santino, do you think the lack of Mr. Cannon is going to hurt him this year?
Yes.
Yeah, unanimous.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think it's even hurt Santino as much as I think a lot of people want to say. I just think it's helped Dixon. You look at where Dixon is, like, that's Michael Cannon. Like, you took an elite driver and gave him an elite engineer, and now they're pretty much unstoppable. So,
yes,
there you go. All right.
Michael Cannon is a legend. That's just known fact.
Row number 7. Very American. In fact, the only fully American row in the whole field, I believe.
America.
Air Force, Chuck Yeager car, Cole Pern as the crew chief from NASCAR. Won with an orange car, in fact, in NASCAR as well with Martin Truex Jr. The party boy, Conor Daly, was very strong last year in an Andretti Autosport entry. He's got the Chevy power, Ed Carpenter Racing. Not usually a great team in the race. Usually a lot better in qualifying, but this year, they're not so good in qualifying. What does that mean for Conor Daly? Is there a shot of Conor winning this year's Indy 500? Panel, what do you have to say?
I don't think that he's going to win. But
top 5?
I don't have much to say about Conor Daly. I think he's just one of those guys that's there.
Braden thinks he's a Phil.
No.
Don't
put that dirt on me, Ricky. He's not a field filler. I love Conor. He's an amazing personality. But this year, as far as raw pace goes and how good he will be in the race, I think he is one of those guys that will linger in the mid-pack.
There you go. Jabel, Kyle, anything to add to Conor Daly?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think Ed Carpenter's guy this year is going to be Renus BK, and we'll get to him later.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Connor's, it's almost been a little bit disappointing. I expect a lot from him this year, like going into having the full-time deal. But I mean, we'll see. He could always surprise. You never know. It's the Indy 500.
Anything from you, Kyle, about Conor Daly that we haven't already said?
No, you guys kind of said it all. It's a weird year for Ed Carpenter. It's definitely weird. And you're right. They don't usually have the best race cars, but I mean they're usually still, they maintain at the front throughout the race, like we saw last year, they just don't have the best cars at the finish, which is what it's all about ultimately.
This is the thing that
I think the Chevy lack of pace in qualifying has just really been the big difference for those guys. I'm sure their cars are close to as good as they've always been in qualifying. It's just they just didn't like. I feel like a lot of their setup kind of depends on that straight line speed, you know, and without that, you know, it's just you don't get the lap time in qualifying, but they're always competitive, and it's if you have to be on one team for the 500, it's one of those teams that you want to be on.
Okay, I could buy the theory that Ed Carpenter's team is not any good in qualifying this year if Rinus VK wasn't starting on the inside of row 2.
Yeah.
What's going on? I've got to think that there was some setup thing that Ed and Conor couldn't drive that Rinus could drive. I mean, that's the only thing I there's no other explanation unless Conor and Ed went in completely the wrong direction trying to qualify, and Rinus didn't. But still, Rinus proved he had the speed the second day in qualifying. So that's the weird thing to me. And so if Conor and Ed just had a bad qualifying setup this year and still fade in the race, they're already starting mid-pack. I'm actually beginning to get sold on Braden's theory on whether or not Conor, or really to an extension, Ed Carpenter will be a factor this year because of that. If their race pace is still the same and their qualifying pace was crap, what's the race going to be this year? So, anything else to... Oh, yeah, go on, Jabel.
Yeah, could Ed Carpenter... I don't know. I mean, tell me if I'm crazy here, but could they have been one of the teams that kind of just focused on a race car this year? I mean, obviously they don't have sort of the budgets of the Andretti's and the Penske's and things like that, and with the whole new Aero screen and stuff, you know, it's a lot different this year. Could, I don't know, maybe Ed and Conor focus on the race car and Rinus focus on the qualifying car, and then the qualifying car didn't suit Conor and Ed? Like, just kind of just a crazy theory about it.
Yeah, I mean that's the only explanation. That's the only explanation I could think of as to why the two experienced drivers are starting mid-pack when the rookie is up front. That's the only thing I can think about. Zach Veach. Honestly, like a lot of people crap on him. I was about to say he's at 66-1 odds. He's in an Andretti car.
He's a good bet. He's a good bet.
Like, I mean, he's one fuel mileage race away from winning the Indy 500, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard some people that know a lot more than me about the intricacies of what's gone on this year at the Speedway, and I've heard that he has one of the best Andretti cars when it comes to racing.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Ditto.
Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah,
So that's okay. So how many people are watching this right now? 444. Put like $10 on Veach right now. right now.
By tomorrow morning, the odds are going to be like 20 to 1. Like,
Yeah.
completely turned around.
That was one thing I was going to say before you guys start poo-pooing on my boy Zach Veach. They had an issue in qualifying, which is why he didn't qualify in the front, or more towards the front. But I think this is the year I think this is the year Veach gets a top 10. That is my prediction. I think, yeah, I've heard he has a great race car. Yeah, at least, at the very least. I think, you know, I've heard he's had a great race car. They had an issue in qualifying, and I think he's going to, you know, go to the front.
Here's the one issue I have with Veach, and this would be the one issue I would have betting on him. He's a crasher. He crashes on the ovals. And that's the one thing that makes me a little bit nervous, because even if he has the best car in traffic in the field, do I trust Zach Veach to make it 500 miles? I don't know. Again, could be totally wrong. I am going against the pro drivers on this one a little bit. I think the betting odds are really favorable. And I would honestly, I'd put $1 on that. Like, make $66. Why not? You know? So yeah, if you're looking for like a long shot that's going to pay out, potentially, that's actually somewhat realistic, Zach Veach. We've already talked a lot about Ed Carpenter. Is there anything specific to Ed we need to discuss that we didn't talk about when talking about Conor?
I don't know. I mean, he's the boss man.
If he wins, everybody outside of the track is just gonna, college football style rampage the speedway and start tearing down grandstands and beating up security guards. And
If Ed wins the 500, are there gonna be riots in the streets?
Yeah, it's gonna be a rampage if that happens. I'm telling you right now. Right now. Gate 1 will be gone. Tearing down the fence post. Gate 1 will be gone. The house is demolished. Burnt couches all over.
Oh, poor Jable. He's not gonna have a school to go back to.
Jable's like, oh, I'm gonna have to buy a new couch.
Yeah, I was about to say, Butler Bulldog here is not really hyping the Butler Bulldog up. What's going on, Jable? Come on.
I don't know. I've never really. I mean, I'm a lot closer with a lot of other guys in the field. I've never really met Ed. He's a little bit older than me.
Oh yeah, he's probably old enough to be your dad. Well, there we go. Dad Ed Carpenter. There we go. All right, let's go on to row 5.
He was the first guy to get above 230.
Well, technically it's Pato. Yeah, it is Ed, I think. Yeah. Let me see.
30.2.
Oops, that's the wrong row. Yeah.
I'm looking at the stream.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I have the stream cheat sheet.
But that doesn't mean anything because everybody's the whole field's covered by 2 miles an hour for the most part.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Ooh, we're getting into the spicy.
Yeah, we are getting spicy. There's at least one driver on here that I'm gonna pay particular attention to during the race. But let's get to Pato Award first. Not a rookie in the series, but a rookie in the 500 because he did not qualify last year despite attempting to make the race. He has been incredibly impressive this year. Fellas, he's the top McLaren driver in the field. Does Pato Award have a chance of winning the Indy 500?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh.
I mean,
we're getting far enough.
On strategy.
Yeah, we're getting far enough up. We're getting to the front of the Chevys, and Pato has a very good race car.
There you go.
I think Pato's going to be good. I just don't have the confidence in him during these races. 500-mile race to be there at the end, especially as a rookie. I think he's a driver that can develop and be a champion in this race. But this year, I don't know. I just don't know with McLaren's pace and how aggressive he is. I don't know.
Well,
I don't have the confidence to say he'll be a winner.
The thing I've kind of looked at in the last few oval races is that it seems like Askew is a better long-distance driver. Pato's probably faster, quicker on a single lap, or as we see here, 4 laps. 500-mile race, I almost feel like I would take Askew over Pato.
Yeah,
we'll have to see.
What I've been thinking.
But in a sprint race like Road America, that's where Pato shines. This kind of race, I think I would take Askew, but we'll see.
Iowa.
Well, Iowa, yeah. But you know what? There was mistakes made there, which cost Pato. That cost Askew too, really. But McLaren really should have won Iowa, at least one of the drivers. Felix Rosenquist. Is this...
Braden, tell me about Felix Rosenquist.
Ooh,
Felix Rosenquist right now?
Yeah.
He's towards the back of the Hondas.
Uh-oh.
And I don't know. I think he goes backwards in the race.
Ooh, that's interesting.
I think we're getting to the front now, so now I can start saying that with a little bit of confidence.
Ooh, okay. Interesting. Did run up front at Texas. Did crash while in second place. Jable, Kyle, Felix Rosenquist.
I don't know. He's kind of one of those drivers who's, he's up there in the field, but he's just kind of been quiet this month. I mean, obviously, Dixon is his teammate, and he's going to be quick as well. So I don't know. I don't see anything special coming out of Felix.
Interesting. Slowest Ganassi car in the field, Kyle. Is he going to be the slowest Ganassi car at the end of the race?
I think this is the one time on Felix Rosenquist I'll agree that I think he'll fall back. It's like last year at the beginning of the month, he looked okay, and then he had that crash, and it kind of felt like Rosenquist kind of took a step back on the ovals. And at Texas this year, it was like, man, Rosenquist is super impressive, and he was gonna win that race until he made a mistake, and yeah, it's just this lack of confidence in him being able to be there in the end and then keep his pace.
All right, that's the story on Felix Rosenquist. We think he's probably going to go to the back. I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I think he could surprise.
All
right.
I'm not in the back. I'm saying backwards.
Yeah, backwards.
Yeah.
I mean, back of the cars that. I mean, he's got a car that should win the race.
He loses 3 or 4 positions in the race.
There you go. Okay, so you're predicting 18th.
Yes.
Okay, here we go. This to me is one that I'm going to point to and say this is a car I'm going to be watching very, very closely over the course of 500 miles. The fastest Penske in the field, the second fastest Chevy, IndyCar champion, doesn't have an Indy 500 win yet, but I think he's got an extremely good chance of changing that tomorrow. Joseph Newgarden. Does anyone disagree with me?
Nope.
I mean, I'm not like flying colors agreeing with you. I don't think. I mean, he's not who I would pick to win the race. But I mean, obviously he's got a good chance. He's always very, very impressive. But I don't know. He's not really jumping off the page at me this year.
Interesting. Any particular? All right, I want to hear this from the two of you because okay. So that's an interesting one because I sometimes don't have confidence in Joseph on the ovals, but other times he's looked absolutely dominant and brilliant in XYZ. He does have a second place here in 2016, or actually a third place, sorry. He's finished on the podium in the 500 before. What about Joseph Newgarden makes you nervous for his chance to win the 500?
For me, it's not Joseph. I mean, all the Penske drivers are great, and I feel like they could win any race they enter. But I just don't think a Penske car is going to win the race this year. I don't think they've been as impressive as they usually are. I don't know what it is, but I just don't think they're in true form this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kyle?
I mean, with him being a Penske car, the fastest Chevrolet, I definitely agree.
Second fastest Chevrolet.
Okay, second fastest Chevrolet. Oh, that's right, Renus.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely going to keep a close eye on him. I definitely agree with that. I think he's going to be very interesting to see just how he does. But I don't have the confidence that he will, be fantastic, I guess it would be what I'd say, or like contending for the win. He hasn't shown me on the ovals, especially at the 500. I mean, he had that third, but that was a crapshoot at the finish. I mean,
But he was up there legitimately, though. That's the thing.
It was the last time that Joseph was legitimately there at the finish. I mean, like, because I would say the same thing.
Last year. I mean, he was there. He just didn't have it for Rossi and Pagenaud last year. But he was there.
Because, I mean, maybe before, like, 2014, I would have said the same thing about Will Power. But then Will Power kind of, proved that he had speed and he knew what to do at Indy. Joseph just has not shown me that. He does not show me anything to give me confidence to say, yeah, he's a, huge shot to win this year. He's going to be he's just the favorite Penske, or yeah, I don't have the confidence in him as I do the other Penske drivers. But him, I do agree, him starting 13th, the fastest Penske, I think, in the reigning champion, I think he's definitely one to keep a close eye on.
Well,
but, yeah,
if
it just hasn't given me confidence.
Okay, let me put it to you this way. If it's a track position race, and we are to believe that not only do the Chevys have the best race pace, but they are the most fuel efficient, and he's the veteran between Rinus VeeKay and Pato O'Ward as the other three top Chevys, I would take Joseph out of those three if given the choice between the three of them. That's kind of my logic.
I mean, that's reasonable.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's going to be between those three, though.
I know. I'm just saying, like, looking at
Joseph could win the race. He can win the race. I don't think he's my favorite, but like if I'm predicting his finishing position, I predict he moves forward, and I say he finishes in the top 7 almost 100%.
Yeah. That would be it. That would be a good one. There you go.
I'm down with that.
We're in agreement.
At the very worst, Joseph Newgarden will be in the top 10, and that's pretty good. All right, row number 4. Interesting row here, because I think a lot of people are going to overlook the 3 drivers, maybe not the 10th place guy, but the other 2 for sure. I think a lot of people are going to overlook these 2, so let's give them some love. First, starting position 12, outside row 4, Spencer Pigot, driving a Rahal Letterman Lanigan Honda. Those cars have been particularly fast, particularly good this week. Spencer was fast last year for Ed Carpenter. Unfortunately, of course, he had the Ed Carpenter racing car, so it was bad in the race, but he was on the front row last year. He was very fast in his only other previous start this season at the Indy GP and was really only eliminated through bad pit stops and then a mechanical failure. Is Spencer Pigot somebody who might surprise everybody, shock the world, and challenge for a win?
Not for me. Not
Ooh,
for me.
Braden says no.
David hyped it up so much that.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine when it goes that way because I made the argument and see what you guys said about it because I think there's an argument that can be made for Spencer Pigot.
Yeah, I
don't know.
I think he's a very good driver, but again, he's one of the people that is towards the back of the Hondas in quali, and Chevys step it up when it's not in quali mode. So I think he goes a little bit backwards in the race.
There you go. Anybody? Okay. Go on, Jim.
He's a little bit under-odded. Is that how it would be? 50 to 1 is kind of like, wow, he should be better than that. But yeah, I can't really see him winning. I don't know. I think he'll kind of hover around that, just outside the top 10 area. And I think that'd be a good day for him, honestly.
There you go. Okay, here's another one that I think I'll hype this one up now. Marcus Erickson, second year, Chip Ganassi racing car, 45 to 1 odds, was solidly in the top 10 last year for Arrow McLaren SP. Crashed in the pits, and that was the reason that he was not really in contention. But he was pretty easily the best Arrow McLaren SP car last year at the 500. He's the second fastest Ganassi car. Just missed out on the Fast 9. Is there potential for Marcus Erickson to shock the world?
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
not like a screaming
yeah.
yes, but I think there's definitely potential there.
I think there's potential there. I think it's, for me, that's I wouldn't predict him to go forward, but I wouldn't predict him to go backwards. I think he could go forwards or backwards. Just depends on the day for me. I think I don't have any solid feel for whether he's going to go forwards or backwards. So I think that he could finish 5th or he could finish 20th, and I couldn't tell you either one.
There you go. Kyle, anything to say about Mr. Erickson?
Yeah, he's a for sure sleeper. He is probably the quietest guy this far forward here. So I think he'll I'm kind of with Braden here. I don't think he'll fall. I mean, yeah, he's just don't really have a feel for how really he'll do, but for sure a sleeper. 45 to 1, I would bet $1 on that.
There you go. He'd bet $1 on it. All right. This I feel like this is going to be pretty cut and dry. Probably not a whole lot of debate here. Position 10, Big Chungus himself, 20 to 1 odds. Colton Herta. Only ran 3 laps in last year's race. Got Andretti Autosport power behind him. Does anyone not think that Colton will be contending for the win?
I don't know. I mean, I talked to him yesterday, and he's just been saying that they're just kind of lacking overall pace. It's not like straight line speed or anything like that. It's just kind of overall car pace. So we'll see. Obviously, Colton's an extremely good driver, and could seriously shake things up. I think he could definitely win the race, but I don't know if he's the favorite out of the Andretti camp this year.
Oh no, certainly not. But still, I guess the one negative with Colton is that he didn't run a full race last year. And in fact, even at Pocono, he didn't get the full 500 miles. He crashed out in the middle of the race. So he does not have a 500-mile finish yet. Now, he looked good at Texas, really good. Kept his nose clean, but he wasn't really a race-winning contender like he had been the previous year. So I mean, I have a feeling he's going to be a contender tomorrow. But like you said, Jabel, I feel like I also wouldn't be surprised if he's just a top 10 car.
Yeah, I could see it. I think his driving will keep him up there. And I think obviously Andretti's have great pit stop strategy and stuff like that. But I can't see him charging super hard to the front. Hopefully, I hope he does. As a friend and a fan of his, but I just don't know about this year.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I think he moves forward in the beginning, and I think he advances positions for the first 25 to 40% of the race. But I think when everything settles out, I just don't know that their car is all that this year. So I don't know. I think he moves forward the first part of the race just on being aggressive, and he's in that good spot where he can move forward and get some good forward momentum going. But when things settle out, I think he's going to start moving backwards just on the lack of pace.
There you go. There you go. Not as shining as I thought it was going to be, but watch him prove us all wrong.
I will say the chat.
I hope he does.
Like 98% of the chat wants Colton Herta. That's what I've noticed through the entirety of the stream. Everybody wants Big Chungus to win tomorrow.
This is the problem with popular winners, and almost why I want to repeat winner this year, is that I'm gonna hate it for the guy who gets his first Indy 500 win, and
Completely agree.
yeah, there's nobody there. So I almost want it to be because if it's somebody like Colton or Joseph or Connor, like that'll suck, or Marco especially, that'll suck. You know, it'll be like, oh man, like what a letdown. You know, I don't know.
I'm kind of interested to see if there's going to be there's probably going to be a pretty good crowd outside that.
Oh my god, it's gonna
Kyle,
be nuts.
Especially if it's a first-time winner, people are going to be going crazy outside the speedway.
Yeah. Kyle, you better film that because that's a million views if you get something good.
That's what I'm doing tomorrow.
Yeah.
That is
Good.
my plan.
There you go.
I'm gonna be there early in the morning. I will be there, and I will have a Hinchcliffe gator on. If anyone sees me,
Did you get me a Hinchcliffe gator, by the way?
They sold out very quickly, as you can imagine. So I'm sorry.
Oh, they were selling them?
No, okay, I shouldn't have said sold.
Oh.
They were gone.
They've had a couple merchandise trucks outside the track all week. I was just over there today. So the speedway's popping. You wouldn't think that.
Dude.
Like restaurants got lines out the door. Like it's crazy.
Oh yeah. Me and Jacob ate at Charlie Brown's, the breakfast place right by the speedway.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was so cool because we ate outside and you could hear the cars going around, but that place was packed. People just want to know that it's going on, even though they can't be there. You know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's the tradition.
I went to Carb Day with Braden's dad, and that was fun. That was a good time. There were so many people there for Carb Day, and then we actually ran into Mr. Jabel. That was a good time.
All right. Let's go on to the Fast 9. We're almost done, folks. Don't worry. I hope you guys have been enjoying the stream. Leave a like on it if you're enjoying it. How many people we still got watching? 474 people still watching. Good Lord. Thank you, guys. Okay. All right. So this is where we really get into the nitty-gritty, I think. I think we really got some contenders now. Alexander Rossi. Does anyone... Okay, let's make this as simple as possible. Does anyone think that Alexander Rossi will not win the race tomorrow?
Yeah, me.
Was that Jabel? Jabel does not think.
I don't think he's gonna win the race tomorrow.
No,
Okay.
I don't think he's gonna. He's not my pick to win, but obviously he'll be up there.
Yeah. Okay.
It's gonna make it interesting.
How about we put it this way? He's starting 9th. Where will he be by turn 3?
P6.
Okay, 6th. We got Jabel says 6th.
If that.
Okay.
He's starting 9th, so he's not on the inside.
The Indy 500 first lap isn't usually that crazy, is it?
No, not really.
Some drivers make it crazy.
The restarts are a lot crazier than the start. Everyone just wants to get through the
agree.
start, I think.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of spreads out accordingly, and some people
But I don't know. I feel like
are
with the whole,
respectful.
no fan thing, that might be a little bit crazy because there's not as much pressure. I mean, you're not driving in front of 300,000 people, so it might make the drivers a little bit more comfortable on the first.
That is an
lap and
interesting point.
Make them do some things that they wouldn't otherwise.
Let's chat. Let's put that in our back burner for tomorrow's first lap. That's an interesting point for Jabel, and I'm interested to see how that pans out. So we don't think that Alexander Rossi is going to be crazy on the start, but I think the consensus here is that he will be a contender for victory.
Yes,
Okay.
I think he could. I think he will finish in the top 5. I can probably say that confidently.
Okay.
I don't know. I predict he finishes exactly where he started.
Interesting. He's never finished worse than 6th. Okay.
Rossi hasn't been in the best of form this year.
That's
look
true.
at those odds.
It's the Indy 500 and it's Alexander Rossi.
Yeah, that's also true.
Yeah.
Like this, there's some drivers who just step up at Indianapolis, and Rossi's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't. I'm just okay. Well, we'll have to see. I mean, he could blow his motor on the first lap. I mean, that has happened before to drivers who you think are shoo-ins to win the race. Here's another guy who I think steps up at Indianapolis, and this year is the first time since 2010 for Newman Haas race. Or actually, sorry, he was driving for his dad at that time, like he is now. Graham Rahal in the Fast 9 P8. He was pretty quick last year. I don't think he necessarily had a car that could win. He certainly had a top 5 car last year. Got taken out in a big old wreck. Graham Rahal, what do we think?
I think he's strong. I think he looks better than he has at the 500 in a long time. And he's another guy that typically does step up in that race for the 500. So I think he moves forward, and I think he is a good pick for a top 5 position for sure.
Ooh, for sure. All right, freaking biased Kyle, Rahal Fanatic 15. Why don't you tell us how Graham Rahal is going to win this race and lap the field 5 times?
Oh, he's definitely going to do that.
Okay.
So he's always started midfield. Like, it's been a thing. He's never qualified well, but just take it from someone like me who's just watched Graham's racing time. Just paid attention to Graham. He always works his way up through the field methodically, and he's always, when it comes down to crunch time, he's top 5, top 10. He's always, in the top 10 by the time it comes down to it. So starting in the top 10, I think, pressure's on for him to, try and actually get it done this year. I think he's got a real shot if he has a car like Sato's, which I think Sato's going to be another driver to watch, which we'll get to him in a minute. But yeah, I mean, this is probably his best chance in years to do it. So
I would agree with that. I would 100% agree. This is easily Graham Rahal's best chance. I will go as far to say, since he was driving for Newman Haas, possibly the first Ganassi year where he had a really good chance. If you're a Graham Rahal fan, this is one I'd hang my hat on, because you may not get a better shot with Graham.
It's more than half of the reason of why I decided to go way early tomorrow, get a good spot, and be there. Because if I'm not there and he wins, I don't know. I have to be there. You'll, dude.
I mean, you will be there. You'll just be outside.
Time.
You'll be swimming in the creek to try to get in if he does win.
I'll tell you this: if he wins tomorrow, you'll see me cry for the only time you'll ever see me cry. So just be ready for that. Be ready for that.
Like I said with Jabel, if Dalton wins or if Rahal wins and you don't cry on stream, I'm gonna be pissed. We do need to read super chat. I totally missed some super chats earlier, so I need to read those real quick. Jabel, real quick, any extra thoughts on Graham Rahal?
No, I think they really covered it all. I mean, going through this field is making me just kind of realize how unpredictable the Indy 500 is. Like, oh yeah, he could win. Oh yeah, he could win too. And yeah, it's just kind of, that's why we love it so much.
No kidding. So Coltron says, this was a big super chat, says, it's a bit late, but out of the 2 drivers that are chasing the Triple Crown, who would have the closest chance realistically? As for me, the Indy winner, I'm torn between Sato and potentially Marco. So he's taken Sato or Marco, and he's asking between Montoya, who would have to win Le Mans to get the Triple Crown, or Alonso, who would have to win Indianapolis. Who has the better chance between those two drivers? I would say Montoya.
Yeah. I was waiting for somebody else to say something, but
Okay.
I was thinking Montoya definitely. I don't think that Fernando is gonna get the Triple Crown.
Not this year, anyway. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely not this year.
David, I think you and I have talked about this. I really like. Why has Montoya not just put all of his eggs into trying to get an LMP1 hybrid ride and just winning it? Like,
He
come
can
on,
do it very easily, I feel like.
Like
Montoya is
did
just so good.
Yeah.
he did
he's
the
a
run
legend.
in the
Legend.
United car, but just do a Fernando and get an LMP1 Toyota ride, and boom, you're in. You got the Triple Crown.
By the way, I just got a tweet from Stephen Wilson, which is very interesting. So, there's a bit of a debate on gentlemen start your engines versus drivers start your engines. And the argument I made for gentlemen start your engines is that the drivers don't start their engines. Well, Stephen Wilson says, technically, we do flip a switch that then allows the engine to be turned on, so shrug emoji. So there you go. Stephen Wilson says the drivers assist in turning the engines on, therefore drivers start your engines is correct. There you go. Okay.
The more you know.
There you go. The more you know. Draco Rosso says, if Sato doesn't crash on lap 1, he wins. And we also got a super chat from Alex Viveros, but he didn't say anything. We will get to Sato. I think Sato is going to be a very, very interesting discussion. And Logan Deltweiler also sent a super chat. Just saw that. Thank you. Let me refresh that real quick just to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Okay, I didn't. Okay. This will be an interesting one. One of the drivers that I think there will be some debate on. Alex Palou. How do we feel about him? Because so I've gone back and forth on this. And I think if it's not one of the McLaren guys, because I think Pato and Askew are going to be very strong in race conditions, I think Palou is the odds-on favorite for Rookie of the Year. Anybody disagree?
No.
I do not have an opinion on that one.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Kyle?
I think he's looked. I think that he has a very strong car for this race, but he just I don't know that he has the experience. So like I think if he executes, he can do very well. But I think it's really in his hands. He has the shot, and that's up to him. So I think it's just on how Alex Palou does on the day, in my opinion.
Kyle, Jabel, Palou?
I mean, I'm done giving giving takes on Alex Palou because I'm pretty sure I am quoted on the Rain Race podcast, shameless plug, but of saying that I didn't think at the beginning of the season he was going to do well at all, and then Road America happened.
You didn't listen to Colton Herta. We asked him at
listen to Colton
Daytona, and I was like, of the rookies, who do you think's the biggest threat? And he's like, Palou. He didn't even think about it. So
I didn't listen.
You didn't listen. You got to listen to Chungus when he gives the information.
I'm not going to say anything, and I'm just going to, hey. Hey.
There you go. Okay, so the jury's out. The one thing I will say is rookies have won the Indy 500 before in recent times. Juan Montoya, 2000, 2001, Elio Castroneves. Now, those two were kart drivers before, so they weren't true rookies, but Alexander Rossi certainly was. I don't know, 45 to 1 odds.
2000 was recent times.
I'm a boomer.
I wasn't even born.
I wasn't born.
Stop it.
I was born.
I went to kindergarten.
I was
in
born.
2000. There we go. There.
Continue.
So me and Braden will sit in our rocking chairs here, and the adults will discuss when Juan Montoya won the Indy 500.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
There you go. Okay. Well,
sitting around, rolling around on the ground with my pacifier in my mouth.
Okay. Well. Oh God. Anyway, row 2. Speaking of old farts, James Hinchcliffe. He and his neck garter. You know what? I'll say this right off the bat. I'm getting major 2011 Dan Weldon Indy 500 vibes from James Hinchcliffe this year. I think he is absolutely one of the drivers that I think could win tomorrow. Does anyone have a thing to say about that is the opposite?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't like necessarily. I don't think that I have as much faith in him as you do, but I think he's going to be at the front at the end of the race, 100%. I think he's going to get top 10, 100%. I just don't know that I have the faith in him to go out and win the Indy 500 this year.
Okay, Jay.
I think that in my opinion, I think he loses on a delta 3 positions throughout the race.
Ooh. Wow. Interesting. Jabel?
I don't know. I want him to do well. I really do. It's kind of like Colton, but I just don't know. I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too crazy about it. He's not my pick to win the race.
He seems confident.
Yeah,
He seems confident.
Kind of same as you. He's a major dark horse. You know,
Starting in row 2, and he's a dark horse. Okay.
Yeah, well, because out of all the favorites, I don't think Hinchcliffe has really brought up a whole lot.
He should be. That's what I'm saying.
I think he should be. Just the pace the Andretti's have shown, and just like you said, I mean, Hinchcliffe looks happy. He looks comfortable, and I think he knows that he has a really good shot this year. And Genesis has seemed very happy, and I think this could lead to a full season run. Michael has said that, you know, he wants Hinch full time. I think Genesis is very interested, and yeah, I think Hinchcliffe is in a position right now to where he's motivated and he'll do very well.
There you go. Anybody got anything else to say about Hinch? I think that pretty much sums it up.
I'm ready to get on to the rest of the people. I'm excited for the rest of these predictions.
All right, we did have a super chat that predicted a Ryan Hunter-Reay victory, won in 2014. Seems to always be up front, except for the years he's not. But he doesn't crash a whole lot. He's always in contention. Ryan Hunter-Reay, what do we think? Do we think that this is one of the Andretti cars? In fact, I think this is the second fastest Andretti car in the field. What do we think?
Anyone?
Silencia.
Jacob, you take this one. You take this one, Jacob.
I don't know. I don't. Again, he's one of those guys. It's just like he's just kind of there. Like, yes, he could win, but it'd be kind of one of those people. I'm like, I don't know, okay, Hunter-Reay won, like that deal. I don't know. I don't really have
I'm excited to get to our 4th place qualifier.
I believe Jabel is as well.
Okay.
No, we gotta give Ryan some more.
Yeah, Ryan.
Kyle,
He's gonna be good. He's gonna be good. He's gonna be there, and he's starting up front. So I think he's gonna be a contender. I think he could win. I think he can win.
How about
not
this?
my first pick, but I think he can win.
I'll make this really easy. Of the Andretti cars, where would you rank Hunter-Reay?
3rd.
Ooh, who's behind?
Definitely behind. Probably behind Hinchcliffe. And
He's trying to say Marco, but he's not going to be able to.
I'll say Marco.
Ooh,
Marco.
there it is.
I'd put him 2nd behind Rossi.
Ooh. Wow, so you think Rossi's the strongest Andretti car, even when he's 4th fastest?
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep, I do. I think it goes Rossi, Hunter-Reay. I don't know where to go from there. Maybe Marco. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I guess.
So you'd put Marco ahead of Hinchcliffe.
Yeah, I would.
Ooh, man, that should have been our game. We should have ranked the Andretti. We would have talked for 3 hours about that. Okay, all right, you guys.
Maybe Colton. I think Ryan and Colton have about the same shot.
Ooh, that's an interesting take. That's a really because
Mm.
they have totally different styles.
But it's Colton.
Yeah.
Big Chungus, man.
Colton is an executor.
That's true. I don't know. All right. Okay, so here we go. This is the one that I think a lot of people are going to be talking about because if there's a wild card in this field, it is Rinus VeeKay. Fastest rookie, fastest Chevrolet, fastest Ed Carpenter car. I mean, he's 9 positions ahead of the next fastest Chevrolet, which is a Penske.
Yeah, baby.
How the hell? What? Okay, somebody explain to me how. So the Dutchman.
Yeah.
The Dutch are very fast in Indianapolis. There's no doubt about it. They still hold the track record with Arie Luyendyk, and clearly that there's something in the genes. There's something in the genes, no doubt about it. I will say this. I don't trust Rinus. I can't. I would not be able to buy. If you're buying or selling, I don't think you'll be there on lap 200. Prove me wrong, guys.
I don't know.
I disagree with you. I disagree with you.
All right.
I have a very strong opinion right now.
Oh my
And
god.
Rinus is one of my top 2 picks.
Oh man, he's gonna lay it down. He's gonna lay it
He
down.
has he has impressed me more than he has, and I've been following Rinus. He's been, a year or 2 ahead of me in the road to Indy for a long time. So I've always look up to him, and looked at where he was finishing, and he has impressed me so much in this month. And I think that he has just been head and shoulders ahead of all the other Chevrolets. And if you take the amount that Chevy should improve relative to Hondas when we go into race trim, then that would lead me to believe that he is going to be extremely strong in this race.
Ooh, he's got facts and logic to back up his statement. Oh my god. Okay, yeah. I'm getting sold, Jable.
I mean, Braden kind of said it all. I feel like the Chevys are going to catch right up in the race, if not be even quicker. I don't know what the deal was with qualifying, but I don't think that's the true Chevy pace. I don't think really anyone thinks that. But the fact that versus all the Chevys, he was so much better than all of them. If the Chevys pick it up, which I think they will, I mean, you just look at it. You look at the leaderboard and look at who's the fastest Chevy, and it's Rinus by kind of a long shot. So I don't know. I'm excited. I'm stoked for this race. I feel like I honestly think it's going to be between Rinus and Scott Dixon.
I agree.
Wow. That would be the craziest Indy 500 ever.
I know.
Yeah, man. High marks. And I gotta trust the guys who have seen him, come up through the ranks. And let's be honest, there's been a lot of good things said about Rinus VeeKay. I remember hearing about him 2 or 3 years ago when he was kind of in the USF 2000 and stuff. So if he goes out there and he wins this race, man, that would be incredible. Honestly, I mean, especially when you think about, again, we talked so much about it. We talked so much crap about Ed Carpenter. And the Ed Carpenter. This is the problem too, though. Remember, every time Ed Carpenter racing cars qualify well, they do not do well in the race. That's the problem. That's what I'm worried about.
But this has been so different with the way that the Hondas and Chevys have performed throughout the entire month, and Hondas were just so much faster, and Rinus was the only guy that could keep up. I think that if the engines were on the same levels, Rinus would have qualified on pole by a good margin. Yeah. That's single. For me, and also seeing and hearing the things that the spotters have said, and the spotters know best who's good in racing situations. I've heard people talking extremely highly of what his car is able to do. And also, I mean, Rinus is just a guy that when he's switched on, he's switched on. And I think he is extremely excited for tomorrow.
All right, chat. Give me a 1 if you think Rinus will win or be top. Let's put it this way. Put a 1 in the chat if you think he finishes higher than 4th. Put a 2 in the chat if you think he finishes lower than 4th. I'm interested, of course.
Give me the ones.
You put a 1 immediately in there. People, we're gonna be so far ahead. Oh my god, they're gonna be like, why'd you guys put 1 in the chat?
They're gonna start spamming 1 without even knowing what we said.
See, that you've rigged the game. Yeah, they're doing it. Oh god. Okay. Well, anyway.
No, we're getting a lot of 2s.
I haven't even seen the things come in yet. See, I don't know.
It's 50-50 right now. It's literally 50-50.
That's not a shock, is it?
There's a lot of 2s. There's a lot of 2s.
Now there's a lot of 2s.
Oh, there's a lot of people not trusting.
Somebody said Eisenberger.
Yeah. Throwback.
Wow, you're right. Yeah, there are a lot of 2s. So the chat disagrees with pro drivers. They think that.
That's fine. That's fine.
I feel
we'll
bad.
See tomorrow. We'll
yes.
See tomorrow. Jacob and I know. We know.
All right. Here's.
We definitely don't. We aren't qualified to make these picks whatsoever.
Well, here.
That's my pick.
Here's the deal, chat. I mean, just hold these guys accountable. If Renus crashes in the first corner tomorrow, just blow their social media up, telling them how wrong they are. That's all you gotta do.
No matter what, I can tell you, and Kyle knows this, he's gonna be extremely happy.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'll tell you this.
That's the signature
I was in
Renus
Newcastle.
interview. I'm very happy. Very happy.
I'm very happy.
I was at Newcastle with these guys watching qualifying, and I would tell you that Jacob Abel is the biggest Renus VK fan that I know. For 2 days, for
Bias.
2 days straight. For 2 days straight, just looking at me like, "How's VK, man? Renus VK, man. I'm telling you,
Oh my gosh.
VK guy." Dude, and he was doing this while he was being an A+ race winning mechanic. So shout out to Gable for multitasking.
There you go.
Renus
There you
VK fanatic / race winning mechanic all at once. What a guy.
All right. So we got Renus out of the way. We got 3 drivers to go, fellas.
I'm done.
Okay, here's the question I'll have for the chat, and this will be fun. Then we'll start talking in depth about our 3 front row starters. I need a 1 in the chat if the winner comes from the front row, and I need a 2 in the chat if you got the other 10 rows. All right. While we're waiting for the chat to respond to that, here's another driver that I think has extremely favorable odds. I almost want to bet on him at those odds. He finished 3rd in the race last year after being a lap behind the race at one point. Looked like a race-winning contender at the end. Starting on the front row this year, only got to really pass 2 drivers. One in Indy 500 in 2017. Takuma Sato, I think, is one of the better choices to win this year's Indianapolis 500. I would like to hear what everyone else has to say about Takuma Sato, as we're seeing, again, about 50-50. Some people taking the front row, some people not taking the front row. Takuma Sato.
I think Takuma. I think you hit it. I think Takuma looks very, very strong. I don't know that I would say that he's one of the absolute favorites, but I think he's top 4. I would say he's my 4th pick as far as guys who I think are going to win. I think he's behind Dixon. He's behind Renus, and I think he will be very, very strong. He's looked so good, and I think he's just good at the 500. But yeah.
Okay, there we go. That's what Bray Neves has to say about Takuma Sato. Kyle, you're a Ray Hall fanatic. This is the fastest Ray Hall. This is the fastest Ray Hall car.
Ray Hall fanatic. That's gonna linger for you, Kyle, forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Sato last year we saw it. He was the only guy, making those crazy moves on the outside of turn 3.
Hold on, I want to say this. I don't remember if it was this year or last year. Maybe it was 2 years in a row. He has passed people in turn 3 on the outside 3 abreast. Outside in turn 3 abreast. And let's keep in mind, people, passing someone 3 wide in turn 1 is a lot different, especially on those restarts, because you're not up to full speed. He's passing these people at full speed 3 wide on the outside. He's insane. Yep. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, that was one thing after the Bourdais Rahal incident. Everyone was like, "Oh, you can't go outside of turn 3," and then Sato did it 5 laps later. And it's like, look at this guy. Look at this guy. Look at the talent. But
look at the talent.
He
Look at the talent.
He didn't drive the guy that was underneath him into the grass.
Yeah, basically. That's. I might have been a little petty there saying that, but it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, Sato. The only thing that kind of worries me about Sato is he can't make mistakes, like we've seen before. Remember Texas? He was really strong, I believe, and then had that pit road thing. He just has to keep the car clean, and if he's there in the end, he's definitely a top pick. Like if he's top 3 in the end, like he was last year, then it'd be hard to bet against him.
He did crash at Pocono.
He did do that.
That's Pocono though. I mean, I don't think there's a ton of parallel between Pocono and Indianapolis.
No,
We're
not
gonna
really,
see a bunch of lines drawn on pictures and things again.
we do have a lot of the guys starting up front in this race that were starting up front in that race and weren't there. Just oh god. Jabel, Takuma Sato.
Yes. Yeah, I think he could do quite well. I mean, he's good on ovals in general, I feel like. I don't know. How has he been this year so far?
He was fast at Iowa, and he started, last. So,
so I definitely think, I mean, that Rahal team they look really good this year. So, I don't know. He's obviously leading the charge there. So yeah, I think he could do quite well. Contend for the win. Probably not beat Renus, but...
Well, again, here's the thing that I talked earlier about guys like Rossi who step up at Indianapolis. Takuma Sato is another driver who maybe the rest of the season he isn't as good as he is in Indianapolis. He steps up. He's always at the front, at least in recent years, and I don't know. I think him starting on the front row is a really great opportunity for him to get a second win. Okay, these two, there may be a ton of debate about the last two drivers. There may not be. I'm actually not sure how this is going to go. Scott Dixon. The one thing about Scott Dixon, because I think there's going to be a lot of love for Scott Dixon here in about 5 seconds. The one thing I will say about Scott Dixon in the Indy 500 is that, generally speaking, Scott Dixon is not the best Indy 500 driver. Yes, he has a win in 2008. That was over 10 years ago, almost 15 years ago. I don't necessarily trust Scott Dixon in this race. Yes, he's got the best engineer in the paddock right now. Yes, he is absolutely on one of the hottest streaks in his career. Yes, he's on the front row with the Honda. Generally, hasn't qualified that well in the last few years. That would suggest to pretty much everybody that potentially Scott Dixon's going to pass Marco in turn 1 and run away, lead about 185 laps, and win his second Indy 500. For some reason, I feel like something's going to take him out of contention, whether he does it or whether somebody else does it to him, and he won't win the race. What do you guys think?
I don't know how you can't trust Scott Dixon in a racing situation.
Well, everything's relative, isn't it?
We have talked about him more than any. He's been the man this year, and he's got he's got the best odds on betting. Like he is the favorite. If you have to pick someone to win, most people are going to say Scott Dixon. That said, it's the 500, and if anything doesn't go his way, no matter who it is, it's going to cost you a little bit. So, for me, I predict he finishes exactly where he started.
Ooh.
I could see it.
Wow, that's quite an interesting prediction. Jabel, Scott Dixon.
He's going to be in the fight at the end of the race. I feel like that's a pretty safe bet, and I feel like it's always weird where the strategy plays out, but I feel like he's going to be one of the top 3 guys who's going to have a contention to win at the end, but I don't know if he's going to be the guy. I don't know. I feel like he'll be there, but I don't think he's going to win the race. I kind of feel like he's going to finish second.
Well, that's the thing that I guess maybe Braden interpreted this as the wrong. I don't necessarily. It's not that I don't trust Scott Dixon. It's that like I think the last two drivers, or at least the first two on the grid, will have this kind of same discussion around them. Is that
Yeah.
I don't think he's lucky at Indianapolis, and I think that's the problem. And like you guys said, I think best case scenario is second. I think someone will luck into a win, and
Yeah,
Dixon
I
will
agree.
come up second. I think that's my opinion. I think I don't know. We'll see. Kyle, Dixon.
Three things: Michael Cannon, and Michael Cannon. Look at what he did with Ferrucci last year, and he's look what they've done this year, and he's starting second. So, yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. I think he's going to be he's going to be the biggest threat to win. I think.
Michael Cannon does not control the other 32 drivers, though.
Yeah.
That's the
There
problem.
you go.
And I mean, we've seen.
He's got a target on his back. I mean,
Oh yeah, he used to anyway.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing.
That's true.
Let me put it this way. Scott Dixon at Mid Ohio used to be the absolute most dominant force in the world, but sometimes there would be an unlucky yellow that would screw him out of a certain win. That's something that could happen. He could lead 195 laps, but he may have to make a splash of fuel at the end of the race, and an ill-timed yellow causes Dalton Kellett to win.
yeah.
That's-
I mean, I almost
So-
feel like he has an advantage as like psychologically. Okay, so he has been the guy all year. Okay, so if he's anywhere he is on track, okay, when people are behind him, there's less likely to say, I need to get ahead of this guy. People are going to want to follow him. People are going to want to follow him to the front if he's back. If he's at the front, people are going to know he's going to be strong. So he's got that advantage. People know that he's going to be there. And I think I just don't see him for the top 5 at all. I think he finishes top 3 100%. I think he finishes second tomorrow.
There you go. There you go. Anything
And
else? Oh, yeah, go on.
Yeah, so with the 500, I mean, Braden mentioned the whole target on the back kind of deal is more of a question, but like, are other teams going to be trying to like cover strategies like Andretti, who has six cars, 5 or 6 cars, something like that?
Technically 7 if you count the Shank car.
Yeah, so are they going to be just covering strategies of Scott Dixon trying to get their guys to win or anything like that too? So just it'll be interesting, but I don't think he'll win. I mean, yeah, Kyle said Michael Cannon, and I would completely agree with him if this was any other race of the year. But just for the sake of it's the Indy 500, so much can happen. It's obviously super hard to predict, and I just don't think he's going to have it this year.
Okay. One driver to go. And this
It's gonna be fun.
This is either going to be a really long discussion or it's really going to be a short one. I will start
Ask
with
the
this.
question.
I'm gonna keep this as simple as possible. Marco Andretti is either going to lead virtually every lap and win this race handily, or he won't be a factor at all. Discuss.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that either he immediately starts moving backwards, or he leads the first 100 laps and just dominates the race. Like, he either has a heavy advantage, or it was a fluke in qualifying and he goes backwards. But I think that he's going to be in it, to be honest. I think he's going to be in it. I don't predict him to win. I predict Renus VK to win. I predict Scott Dixon second. I want to say Hinch or Hunter Ray. I don't know. But I predict Marco fifth tomorrow.
Wow, that is extremely specific. Okay, Kyle, Marco, and you're freaking biased because you're Rahal fanatic. I don't want any bias. I want you to play this straight. Hit it right down the center.
Well, I mean, I kind of agree. He's either going to be a non-factor or he's going to dominate the race. Because we saw last year how bad the car was, but it's totally different this year because they, actually got to go into carb day with And now Marco talked about the car during qualifying weekend. He would say, remember the practice session on Sunday? They said they tried something different, and for half the session they were 30th, and they just reverted back on the setup, and they were P1 again. So
Didn't they specifically try stuff that they knew wasn't going to work, but just had to make sure it didn't work?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're doing that, that's the one thing that I heard, and it kind of put in the back of my mind, and I said, hang on a second. if they're trying things that they know aren't going to work but possibly could work, that means they are extremely confident in their car.
Yeah. I think what's going to be what is going to be the deciding factor for Marco is staying on top of the car throughout the race. So if they can maintain the car throughout the race and make sure that it stays dialed, because that's a huge part of it, is making sure that they're getting everything dialed in, every pit stop, that if they have to dial in or take out a little bit of front wing or whatever they have to do, I think that if he stays on top of it, he'll stay at the front. But if he doesn't, he's going to go backwards.
Jabel, anything to add to that?
With that, I think that's the only thing that is going to hold Marco back is his ability to adapt to the car throughout the race and ask for like the right changes throughout the race to keep him in the front. Because I mean, from what I've heard, obviously haven't raced it, but from what I've heard is like the track changes like drastically from the start to the finish. So I feel like that's a really big thing, is staying on top of your tools and the wing changes and things like that. So yeah, unfortunately, I feel like I can just see him kind of steadily falling back through the pit stop cycles. Or if he does win, it's commanding and he's going from like flag to flag pretty much. But other than that, I feel like he will fall back and finish like, I think he'll be in the top 10, but barely.
Okay, couple of super chats to get to real quick. Alex says if Marco is at the end, he has a chance to win. I think that's exactly what we said. Yeah. Alan Smith says, I hope you four are doing a post-race show. So excited. Dixon, bring it home, baby. I agree. All right, let's not beat around the bush anymore. Let's go with who do we think is going to win the Indianapolis 500. I don't know why my Elgato is not working right now. Maybe I won't be able to show you guys my face. I don't know what's going on with the Elgato. Never mind. Well, nothing is showing up right now. There we go. So I will go first. And let's just make it quick. Let's just go around real quick, finish this thing up. I'm going to say Joseph Newgarden. I think you guys are right on the money about Chevy. I don't trust Rinus VeeKay. He's the fastest Penske car. He's the second fastest Chevy. I think I don't bet against Penske in this race. I think Joseph Newgarden will win.
Can we do a dark horse too?
Sure. My dark horse would be, James Hinchcliffe. All right.
Okay, I've already said this, so yeah. I'm just going to go next because I've already said.
Rinus VeeKay.
Rinus VeeKay wins. My dark horse, I want to say Hinch, but I'm not going to because of what he just said that. Dark horse, Graham Rahal.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Quickly, Kyle, your winner and your dark horse.
I would say my winner. Let's just watch the world burn, and I'll say Marco.
There you go.
I'll put that out there. The dark horse, I'll have to say Pagano, because I have to say Pagano because I was very adamant. I was very adamant on Pagano, and dark horse.
Dark horse is the defending winner.
That is dark horse. Well, he started 25th. That's a dark horse.
500 if he went from near last to winning.
You gave me so much crap for saying that I think he's a favorite, and I pick him for a dark horse. Like,
I think he's the most in-between thing of all time. I don't think you can call him a dark horse, and I don't think you can call him a favorite. I think he's probably closer to a favorite than he is a dark horse, but whatever.
Obviously, the guy I want to pick is my sentimental favorite, Graham Rahal. I'll be rooting for him, and I want him to win, but I'm not going to pick him because,
All right. Jabel, I think we know who you're going to pick to win, but we'll go ahead and ask you anyway.
I am going to pick Rinus with Braden. I just feel like, we've talked about him enough. Rinus to win, and dark horse is going to be Zach Beach.
Whoa!
There you go.
Oh, there we go.
Forgot about him. Yes.
That's cool.
Yes. I agree.
Oh man.
Second dark horse for me, Zach Beach.
Actually, I'll throw another one out there since we didn't all pick one. Obviously, if we're picking Rookie of the Year, you guys both have Rinus VeeKay. Unless, so Rinus VeeKay.
Yeah.
Kyle, you think Rinus VeeKay?
Oliver Askew.
I could see that.
That's
I could see Arenas
almost.
getting involved in an incident early, and Oliver really impressing.
Yeah, see, Oliver's the one because I think he's gonna improve a lot during the race.
Yeah.
But I also feel, I also would be like, I don't know if I'd want to count out Pelot. I feel like Pelot's
Yeah,
really
that's
gonna
true,
surprise
too.
some
I
people.
I think we are sleeping on him a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, like you guys said, the one thing, and you're right, is the equipment, is the Honda, and if Honda is significantly behind in the race conditions, then you're right about Pelot versus VK. But again, we'll have to see. Pelot hasn't really struck me as somebody who crashes a lot. That's the other thing too. VK has crashed quite a bit, so that's the other thing I kind of look at when I go, okay, who's going to be there in the 500? I don't know. Is there anything else we can pick? Oh, here we go. All right, here's a crazy one. And chat, I would like you to pick your winners, your rookies, and your dark horses, first out. Who do you guys think?
Oh.
First out.
Yeah,
Oh,
this is a
okay.
tough. This is a toughie,
Alright,
isn't it?
Oh no, I know who I'm gonna pick.
Oh, we know who we're gonna pick. Okay, go ahead, Jable. If you're ready to go for it.
Wait, no, I'm not ready. That was Brady.
Okay, Braid, go.
All right, first out, Marcus Erickson.
Ooh.
Mm-mm.
Ooh. Where I'm hearing it.
Alright.
I think we're gonna have an Erickson hit us moment.
First out for me. I'm looking at the grid right now. I feel like it's gonna be Tony Kanaan or Elio.
Ooh.
Wow.
Oh,
I'm
man,
gonna say
brutal.
Kanaan. I'm gonna say Kanaan.
Brutal.
Kanaan's gonna be the first out.
Just from that, could you imagine that? Early crash and it's Elio or TK. Could you just imagine that?
Ugh.
I'm just waiting
my
for somebody to
gosh.
say Sage.
I was gonna say Rossi.
Well,
He's due for a bad finish.
well, guess who was on my mind?
Oh no. Uh-oh. That's not good.
I had
Rip
Sage.
Rossi. Oh, you had
I was gonna say
Sage?
Sage. I had Sage.
I mean,
Yeah, right when you
that's
said that, I'm
that's
like, well, of course.
that's a safe one. That's a safe one.
That is a safe one.
I mean,
Or
I think
Hanley.
yeah, I think anybody in the back, because somebody could leave a rag in a radiator and that blow the engine up. You know, it's like there's so many things that can happen in the back of the field. I think there's probably going to be a first lap crash tomorrow.
You think?
I could see
Yeah.
it.
Steve
Hey,
pointed out earlier in the chat that we're due for one.
We
That
are
makes
due.
sense.
We are due. We haven't had one since 2015, and that involved Sage and Sato. So
That
I'm
was
just
a yikes.
I'm just saying. So there, I mean, there you go. I mean,
And I think, yeah, kind of going back to what I said, I think they're going to be more comfortable and more confident on the first lap because it's not like, I mean, you're there, you're not driving in front of 300,000 people. You're going to be not all worried and timid, and you're going to be kind of going for passes and stuff. So, yeah, first lap crash. I could bet on it.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the least 500-esque 500 that there's been in a long time.
Oh, yeah.
well, that's like the most obvious statement I've ever heard about the
Yeah, I was
2020.
like,
Like, yes, that is quite true. Okay. That's everything. I think, will you guys both be back tomorrow after the race to talk about whatever the hell happens tomorrow? I think you guys are predicting Rias VK will win, lead every lap, but...
I didn't say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, should
Yeah.
be back.
Cool. So we'll be seeing you guys there. Unless we have any final thoughts before the start of the Indianapolis 500 tomorrow, guys. Any parting thoughts for the 495 people still watching at almost 10:30 or just over 10:30 at night on Christmas Eve?
Christmas Eve.
Christmas
No.
Eve.
Yeah.
Christmas Braden Eves. Hey!
Oh my god.
Never heard that one before.
Oh! I'm sorry. Am I giving you high school flashbacks? I don't want to.
Nah, not at all.
Okay. All right.
All right. Well, David, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I'll probably see you out there tomorrow. And
Yeah, don't raise too much hail and
Hashtag-
don't praise too much Dale.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Hashtag go
Dale
Rangers.
Jr. is my dark horse.
Oh, guy, he's gonna take the 34th spot. I'll drive out there in the 3 car. I'll take over Aurelio's car. All right, that's enough. We're getting into Dale jokes. That's about the time. You gotta end the stream. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you after the Indianapolis 500 to break down everything that happens in the 104th running. Thank you guys so much for watching.